All right. Well, good evening. Happy New Year's Eve, everybody. Tonight, we are going to be hanging out with you for the next couple hours. So if you are looking to talk about tabletop RPGs, well, you're in the right place. Uh, my camera's a little off. I had it set up inside the house all day, and so things are a little crooked or whatever. You just let me know. You can hear my daughter's rock tumbler in the background. If that's annoying, again, just let me know and I'll close the door. I'll freeze myself a little bit for a couple hours just because I know that's annoying. It drives me bonkers all the time now. But yeah, so how is everyone doing tonight? You guys doing pretty good? You ready to get 2020 done and over with like me? What's up, Cameron? Welcome to the chat, buddy. So today was pretty uneventful. uh, Happy New Year's to you, Cameron. Roll stats. Happy New Year to you and yours as well. Thank you, thank you. I don't know if Paula's going to be joining me. She might join me later. If she does, I'll have to shuffle the chair situation around and stuff like that. But hopefully she'll take a moment and join us. That'll be a lot of fun. Um, yeah, no, I'm excited to be done with 2020. If you guys watched my video I put up today, you know that 2020 for the most part was positive for me. And I know it hasn't been for most people. Yes, it sucked in regards of not being able to get with people and game together, go to conventions, things like that. Um, I'm just very fortunate that this year was not worse. So again, I'm pretty optimistic about looking to 2021. I feel like 2020 has gotten the better of most people, and hopefully we can just get that bad taste out of our mouth moving forward. But yeah, I tried so many cool games this year. Um, Games that before 2020 would not have been things that I would have thought I would have really enjoyed. Fantasy Flight Star Wars, for one, which you can see I'm acquiring the shelf. I do have two more of these box sets on the way, and that is it. So I'll probably, it'll be like to there. So I got the DM screen for the red book. I don't know. I can't remember which one that one is. The Age of Rebellion. So that comes with an adventure which is kind of cool. Each one of the boxes comes with an adventure, comes with a specialty dice, all that good stuff. And I remember at the start of the year when we got to play that with Paul, Lord Luapsor from my Discord, and it was great. Great session that really, I think, started the wheels moving with trying new games for me this year. Um, so obviously we got to try that. And then we played Call of Cthulhu with Sean Connors, and that was a lot of fun. That was the one of the better non like fantasy, non-combat oriented games I've ever played. Um, it was right up there. It may have been the best non-combat type of game I've ever played. So that was awesome. We obviously played Beck Me, with roll stats. That's been great. Some pretty tense scenes in that game for us, and looking forward to playing more of that. And we've had a lot of good things happen this year. Pulp Cthulhu's been great. I really like that system. Um, I wish the stuff in Pulp Cthulhu was a little bit more modern. But other than that, that game's great. Really enjoying it. Um, and I know why it's not, because the whole idea of a pulp Cthulhu or a pulp any game is not a present day game, right? I get it, but it's been really cool, and I've had a lot of fun with that. Yeah, and I think in 2021 that's gonna just continue. I think we're gonna go back to playing some Palladium books with people. It's gonna be awesome. You haven't missed anything yet, Garrison. We're just getting into the thick of it, right? Just talking about how 2020 was great for me as it pertained to gaming. Yes, I had some crappy stuff, but I feel like for the most part it was a positive year for me. Um, He dressed in drag and did the hula. I did, yep. Um, but no, I think, I'm finally going to get a chance to play Dragon Age in 2021. We are going to have our Rifts one shot. Rifts is down here, so it's not even pictured. You can't even see it. We're going to have our Rifts one shot on the 23rd of January. So that's the first 2 months of the year. Obviously, I've already played Rifts before, but Dragon Age in February is going to be awesome. We'll probably butcher the system, but it's going to be a good time. We're going to have fun. Probably going to go with making some Grey Warden pre-gens, running something to do with the Blight from Dragon Age Origins. That's probably what the scenario is going to be, if I had to guess. But it's going to be great. It's going to be a blast. So that's just the first 2 months. I'm thinking in March, we're going to hit with a 30-day world building challenge. Boom, using this book. I was looking at it today. I read through the intro and all that stuff. I've already got to day 1 in here, which is genre and setting. So again, we're going to get through this. And, the prompts aren't huge. Like, this is the prompt. That's it. You read that and then you do it. And then you go to the next day, which right here, draw your map is day 2. So if you guys are interested in doing the 30-day world building with me, we're going to use that book for March. It's going to be awesome. So Jeff says, I can't remember, were you in Aquanaut in Gentleman Gamers XCOM Underwater Let's Play? I was not. I was not. I don't know if I've ever socialized with Gentleman Gamer. I used to be a big fan of his. But yeah, no, I was not a player in his game. I would love to play in a game by him. He's pretty awesome. Cameron says, when are you guys going to play West End Star Wars? Probably not anytime soon. I don't own it. I will probably be playing Fantasy Flight Star Wars by April, though, on this channel as at least a one-shot. That book showed up on my suggestion on Amazon site. Oh, this book? So it was a Christmas gift right off the bat. Paula got it for me. It was really cool. I don't know if I would recommend it necessarily. It's more of a workbook. I think it would depend on what you eat. So I'm looking at the prompts, right? Genre and setting the stuff it says isn't really that helpful, right? Draw your map. Again, not the most helpful thing. It just says it doesn't have to be a beautiful work of art. Just draw something. Then it gets into water sources, capital, landscape, natural resources. I don't know if it's that helpful. It just tells you what to do, but it doesn't go into detail on necessarily how to do it. I think there might be better books, to be honest, but it doesn't matter. I've got this. I've got the Kobold Guide to World Building. I've got some other things that I can lean on for some inspiration if I'm struggling on a prompt. So, but we're gonna do it. Come March, we're doing it for that. And then when we're done with that, we're gonna use the website that Jordan, the PH is silent. Probably gonna do that like May or June, and then around August, I will create my own prompts list, and I will try to do something better than this for everybody to tag along. So 3 months this year, 3 sets of 30 days of world building is my plan. We'll see if I go through with it. Let's get through with the first one in March before we worry about all that, right? Cameron says Fantasy Flight sounds good to me. Oh, it's awesome. Kobold's Guide to Board Game Design is awesome. So I don't have the board game design, but I do have the Kobold Guide to something design. I don't know which one. Game design, I think is what it's called. Not board game, but just game design. And I have not started to read it yet. I'm working on pulling it out right now. Maybe that's what I'll do. It's maybe instead of 3, it's in here. No, I don't know where it's at. I got a book somewhere, and I don't know where it's at. Is it here? There it is. Found it. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Boom. To game design. 2nd edition of the Gold Ennie Award winner. So it's like little essays about that, and I can't wait to read that because I am also working on my own system this year at some point. I don't know. again, that's not necessarily for others right now. I'm just getting my ideas on paper for what I thought would be cool. So that's the idea. But yeah, good stuff, right? Good stuff. I can't wait. I really can't wait. Oh boy. So what about you guys? What do you have planned in the next year? Are you going to be playing some new RPGs? Are there any that are on the top of your list that you really want to try that you haven't had a chance? Let me know. Let's talk about it. Ender, Happy New Year to you as well. I hope you have a great 2021, just like everybody else. I hope 2021 is a massive success compared to this past year. Oh, Cobalt Guide to World Building. Don't have it. So, Cobalt Guide to World Building. Where is it? So I printed the PDF a while back. I don't have the physical book. I'll probably order the physical book because this is good. I've actually read a lot of this. You see, I got a paperclip right here about halfway in. That's how far I've read this over the last couple of years. But yeah, I've got it right here in this little binder, and so I'm ready to go. I can always go, oh, okay, I want to read about water sources, and it didn't say squat about it, so let me go to here and see what they say about water sources. Um, you know, it's not like that defined in the chapters. Again, they're just essays written by world builders, basically, like game designers. Like Wolfgang Bauer wrote "What is Setting Design?" Different kinds of world building by Monty Cook. World building inside and out and outside in by Christopher Primus. How real is your world on history and setting? Wolfgang Bauer. Again, Keith Baker, Jeff Grubb, a lot of people that are known in the industry. Zeb Cook. Um, yeah. Anyways, it's really cool. Why no monotheism? Uh, how to write a world Bible. So basically, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get a world Bible done. So that is my goal, and that way I can just turn to something. Or if I ever work on a project with someone, say roll stats down the line, I can say, here's the world Bible. Use your creative freedom outside of this. There you go. That's where I'm at on it, right? Cobalt Press has a ton of good books. They really do. Jeff says 3.5 edition Greyhawk campaign maybe on my docket. Oh yeah, interesting. Rollstat says I'm going to hack Index Card RPG a bit to create the spaghetti western system I've been yearning to play, but can't seem to find. Dude, you should. I'll happily partake in a playtest of that down the line too. We could even, if we get into the thick of it with the BECME game, you could always substitute a BECME game for a one shot of something too down the line. You know what I mean? Be like, hey guys, coming up like the next time, rather than play BECME, maybe we play my spaghetti western or whatever. Maybe we do something like that. That'd be cool. Cameron says, I finally got my core system to a comfortable place, so I'm looking forward to testing it more this year. I wrote it so I can test it as a solo game, so I'm not waiting on my busy friends. So what is it? What kind of game is it, Cameron? Tell us about it. Tell us all about your game. So we can steal the idea and make billions of dollars. I kid. You don't design RPGs because you want to become a billionaire. I mean, maybe you do. I don't know. That's not something I would be trying to do, but I'd be happy making like 40K a year working in the RPG industry, doing what I love. That's it. I'm not trying to get rich. I'm trying to build a community, and that's about it. Friends and community, and be able to be involved in the industry. That's it. That's all I want to do. Jeff says core system sounds like something that could be added to. True. True. Very true. So I've already got ideas too with what I'm doing. Like I'm making so my idea of a what I want to see is something simple like 5e or whatever, but I also want options. And so my blend of a perfect system is probably in between Pathfinder and D&D 5e, Pathfinder 2e, D&D 5e right now. But I also want it to be something you could play not just as fantasy. I want you to be able to play it as a sci-fi. I want you to be able to play it as something else. So I want modular things you can tack onto it and take out of the game to do that. I also want it to be, so my idea is rather than have like class, because mine is going to be a class system, but I don't want that to like, well, anyways, it's going to have classes, but I want the core book to not have things like, the core book will probably just be fantasy stuff, right? But it won't have monks, it won't have any of that stuff. Instead, I want to release things later on that would have monks, samurai, ninja, things like that. And so then you can take all these different things now in this book and play a game like that. And then I want to have like a seafaring one, which I had a name that I was really excited about, but I did not write it down. But it was going to be just like swashbuckler, pirate, things like that, captains, and whatever, naval, rules and stuff. So to me, I think that's the cool stuff, because then rather than like, I hate how books get released and you'll have one class in this book that's relevant to the type of game you're wanting to play over here. Like if I want to play, say I'm Pathfinder, for example, 2e. The new book had a swashbuckler, which is cool. Would have been really cool if it had a gunslinger, because now you could actually play like some pirate stuff, right? I mean, I guess you can without powdered weapons, but it just seems like it'd be really cool, those things. Crowdsource your race class name ideas. What could go wrong, right? What about Starfinder or sci-fi? I have no experience. So I have not played Starfinder. I have a couple supplement books, but I do not have the system. I wouldn't mind getting it just so I could play like the adventure I got and some other stuff. I'm cool with it. When Starfinder came out a few years back, it wasn't on my radar. It wasn't something I was interested in playing. Recently, this year, it is something I thought would be kind of cool to get into. Jump. I think right now I want to get the core books for Fantasy Flight Star Wars, and I want to get the Genesis books so that I have at least the system for that, and I'll be good there. There's a couple 5e D&D books I want to get. I basically want to get the collection, right? I want to have the full 5e collection. I'm pretty close to it. Like I don't have Curse of Strahd, I don't have Eberron, I don't have Wildemount, or I think it's Wildemount is how it's supposed to be pronounced, or Wildemount. I don't know. I don't have Mythic of Theros. Basically, I don't have like the last 3 books. I do have Tasha's, the regular one, but I don't have that Curse of Strahd. And so I was actually looking at that casket-shaped box recently, but we'll see. Maybe I'll get it. Again, I kind of want the complete set. Same thing with 2nd edition Pathfinder. I'm at a point now where I'm really liking that enough that I think I could start going down that road to at least try to get the complete set, and go from there. Cameron says it's a sci-fi, it's a science fantasy tabletop RPG that I'm using for Star Wars gaming right now. It has 6 skills and 2 ability scores, and you spend experience on mechanical character development each session. Oh, okay. Jeff says Humble Bundle had a ton of Cubicle 7 Warhammer 40K role-playing books. I nabbed them, still have not read them all. Did they only do the PDFs? Humble Bundle's really cool. They usually have some really good deals. I wish I would have bought the $30 Pathfinder 2e book, so I would have had 2. Because I have not seen that book for like under $50 since then. To use supernatural skills, you spend HP. The HP is called luck. Once you reach 0, you can take 1 more hit and then you're down. Trying to create ideas for a simple but complex item system. Oh, Interesting. Interesting. It's not the norm for RPGs, so I would be curious about that. Speaking of Cubicle 7, Paula wants to play the Adventures in Middle Earth. Uh, I have a couple of the books right here. She wants to play those, and I would love to get all of the Adventures in Middle Earth books by Cubicle 7. They're not making them anymore, though, and so it's not as easy to find as it was a year ago. But yeah, I would love to get those too, because we're big Lord of the Rings and Hobbit fans over here. You know? You know? But yeah, so it's going to be a crazy year. I plan on doing a lot. I hope that Paula is able to continue to work from home. I hope that her work does not force her to come back into the office. Her job doesn't need her in the office, like when it comes down to it. That's the thing. And if so, if she's able to work from home, it makes things a lot easier because then I actually can have a couple hours in the day to work on stuff. So otherwise, she's gone to like 6 p.m. at night. Whereas right now, sometimes at 5, I can come out here and start working on things during the day. I can work on some stuff in there, um, so it's preferred. Or at lunchtime, if she takes lunch at 12, that's before the 2-year-old goes nap. I can come out here, work for a little bit, or at least get ready. And then once the 2-year-old goes down at like 2 for his nap, then I can come out here and work for like an hour or two as well. So again, that's the hope. We'll see. 2020 was a crazy weird year, just really weird. But it's all good. Hope, and I just hope that certain companies like hers have adapted to it. Hey, you crazy kids! Happy New Year, Juce and Company. Been cool to see your channel grow. You know what, Prue? I really appreciate that. You have been around this channel for years, and I appreciate seeing you in the chat. I think this is the first time in a while I've seen you in the chat. So thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you have a wonderful New Year, by the way. Hopefully 2021 is a fantastic year for you guys. Jeffrey says, can you talk about your brainstorming idea method for world building for a second? How you get inspired? Oh my gosh, movie tropes and things, doodles, reading. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I love world building. It's something that genuinely gets me excited. I always want to world build, always. I'm not, actually, it's funny. I've planned on doing a stream like this before and doing world building, but I can't focus as well as I want to, I think, sometimes. Plus, I'm a little self-conscious, I think, about world building in front of people. But I just steal ideas from a lot of stuff. Some things I try to tweak. I like to, I'll get excited about going against trope sometimes. We'll have I don't know, you're thinking like elves, and you go, oh, well, they got to live in the woods. And it's like, hell no. Like, these ones don't live in the woods. These ones are like from the desert. I don't know. Just pulling something out right now. And they know magic, right? Like, that's usually a thing about elves. So maybe these elves don't. They're just more primitive, right? They're they are more caveman-esque, right? I don't know. That might be kind of fun. And then like I would just run with the idea and how would this work? How would they survive? What would they live in if they lived in the desert? Like what is their motivation? Why haven't they evolved like other elves in the world? So for me, I'll just take an idea, a quick one, and just run with it. I have in a portion of my world, I have dwarves that are above ground dwarves. And I view them more like samurai culture. And then because I was like going with this whole samurai culture thing where they like have armor that's well crafted, their bladed weapons are again, a lot of meticulous time put into it. And because I was like my brain was working like, oh, it's kind of like the Asian part of the world, I just thought of like the Great Wall of China, and I was like, oh, it'd be really cool if they had a large area that they were in control of that had a wall built around it that they built. And well, why would they build the wall? Oh, that's because the Orcs Arrow Peninsula, that's like a peninsula right underneath it that looks like an arrowhead, it's like all orcs, and so they build a wall to keep the orcs out, right? And I'm thinking, oh, because like kind of like Genghis Khan, stuff like that. And then just north of that, northwest, you have a human settlement, which is a large city, huge castle. And so between the wall and there's a path that goes between the wall that leads all the way up to that human city. And there's mountains, but it's kind of like fairly narrow. So technically, if a war is going to happen, you could, stop the orcs between the mountains, the Great Wall, and so like the dwarves can fight from the wall, and all sorts of stuff. Anyways, that's kind of this one portion, like very small portion of my world that I thought of once, and it started off the idea of the dwarves, and then it was like, well, what about dwarves that are in the mountains on the other side, and maybe they don't get along with the dwarves behind the wall, right? Yeah, so I've got like ideas like that, and then I have the very stereotypical elves just north of that in the woods. Uh, for lack of a better name, I think I named it the ancient, the I think it's like the ancient forest or something like that. And I called like the city of the ancients or something like that. And it's about the elves. And then in the very northeast portion of this continent area is what's called Pirates Bay. It's surrounded by those woods that the elves are in, but it's a small city of rebels and outcasts and basically just pirates. That's it. It's like a city that people come to, but it's pretty much pirates. Like if you're a non-pirate there, you're not going to like it. It's fairly lawless, right? Like they have their own code. I just haven't defined it yet. So again, that's more stuff that I have to do for world building. So I at least have context if players ever go there in my game world. So, but yeah, so I usually just, when I do it, it's not very structured. It's usually I just get an idea and I write it. Or it's because I'll run a one shot in an area and I take what the players want to play and I take their backstories and I'll usually just flesh things out based on some of that and the kind of adventure I feel like running for that area. So I've actually done most of my world building based on one shots or my campaigns. Most of it. How do I get inspired for it though? I can get inspired pretty easily. Like if I were to say I wasn't doing this stream tonight, I wanted to do world building, I would literally just come out here. I'd probably put on some music, and I would just pull up my maps that I've made of my world so far, and I'd just say, all right, I'm going to focus on just this part of my world and just kind of flesh certain things out. Because it's a game world, I don't want it to get too in depth. I want to leave holes, right, for people to run things, which is the hardest part because sometimes you start getting ideas and it just starts going and going and going and you really flesh it out. But yeah, I get inspiration though from movies, video games a lot. Dragon Age, the video game series, is a huge inspiration for things in my world. But I don't want to copy it, so I'll usually I usually tweak quite a bit. I have factions in my world that were inspired by things from Dragon Age. So, like my Crusaders against magic are kind of like the Templars in Dragon Age, where they're like, nah, I guess they're not really, but they don't use magic and they hunt magic users. They hunt magic items. The whole idea is to have control of the magic so that it can't just be used by anybody, kind of thing, because they view it as an evil thing or a dangerous thing. But yeah, and then yeah, I'll sometimes just throw on like Lord of the Rings or something and I'll come up with stuff. That's just how I kind of work. Cameron says, yeah, I'm trying to bring new or underutilized ideas to the gaming table. So far, it's been rocky. Yeah, it's tough. Prue says, I'm flaky AF, but I'm here, and thanks, man. You too. Hey, it's all good. It's all good. We can be flaky. We all got lives. I get it. Jeffrey Garrison, defying tropes is awesome. I completely agree. Prue says, elves where magic is taboo, and any caught with inborn magic are shunned or even hunted down. Sounds like a plan I could go with for sure. Yeah, see, I love stuff like that. So I have some factions in my world. The Anvil Ringers was actually inspired by a group. We were about to play a campaign. It fell through for various reasons before we ever played. We had done character creation and come up with some cool stuff. And I was really inspired by it. And so I took the idea, tweaked it, and ran with it. So used the same name that we came up with in the session 0 for the Anvil Ringers. Um, and the premise was that so the Anvil Ringers, unlike the Crusaders Against Magic, are a group that they'll have magic users. They also can use magic items. So they seek what magic items out. And so it's in, like, if you are a character that has detect magic or things like that, locate object or whatever, those things are like super valuable to this group. And it's a secret society. So you can only get into it if they seek you out and invite you. But when they invite you in, there's different ranks. So you start off at 1. Oh, sweet. Thank you so much, Prue. I appreciate it. Um, oh, okay. Well, have a good night, and I hope you sleep well, and Happy New Year. So we had, I lost my train of thought. I was kind of excited to see that. So we have, oh, so they think it's invaluable to have these abilities and skills. So they seek you out. When they bring you in, you start off as an E1 basically. And as an E1, like like nothing. The only thing you really know is you have to follow a specific code that they give you. And if anybody you run into outranks you, you have to listen to them. They can give you a mission. They can take any magic items you have. So if you found a magic item that you did not destroy, because that's the whole idea, you seek out magic items and you either use them or you destroy them. If you don't destroy them, they might just say, hey, give me that magic item. I'm going to use it or I'm going to destroy it. And you have to do it. That's the whole premise. And if you don't, then you are going against orders and you're breaking your oath and you can actually get kicked out. But the only way to get kicked out is to die. So, and they hire very elite level assassins to come after you. And as you go up in different tiers, you learn more about the group. So the highest, the very tippy top rank in the Anvil Ringers is basically a bunch of well, not a bunch. It's very intelligent, scholarly types, usually who have retired from field service, but with all the knowledge and the places they've been in the world and things they've learned, they still might be seeking out like more specific items, and they pass missions down through the ranks to different levels and stuff. So like as you level up, one of your missions, if you're a player group, might even be to seek out a group of people and recruit them to be Anvil Ringers, or it might be to head out and tell this adventuring party of Anvil Ringers, hey, you need to go do this mission, and you might be able to tell them to give up their stuff. So there's some fun stuff there that's not normal for I think RPGs, and that group is really cool to me. And they are rivals with Crusaders Against Magic. Usually they're going for the same stuff for different reasons. Crusaders Against Magic are just anti-magic whatsoever. I feel like in the past that I've said that the Crusaders Against Magic though will use detect magic and a couple other spells, but only those types of things. But yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. They're very selective in what they allow and don't allow, kind of thing. I don't know. I think it's cool though. Jeff says, do your pirates have more 17th century look and feel, or are they more medieval? That's a good question. I don't know if I've put that much thought into it, to be honest. I don't think I've defined it. Yeah, I don't know, because when I originally came up with that, I was playing. I hadn't switched to 5e yet. It was original Pathfinder, and I wanted an excuse to use gunslingers in my homebrew world. I think that was the original reason. Now, if I were doing it, it's because I'm probably using 5e, Pathfinder 2, so I'd probably do something that fits within those. But as for the lore, again, I still haven't fleshed it out. That's something I'll have to think about when I do 30 days of world building, right? I don't know. We'll know in a couple months, I'll tell you that. So I haven't done any seafaring stuff in my games. Well, that's not true. I had a little bit, but my players were using a ship because it was quicker to travel around a continent and deliver a message to a bunch of cities because they were trying to bring them together for a great war. And in the process, there was a ship that was not a normal ship. I think I took it from, it was like a Pinterest map or something for like a GIF pirate ship or something. And so I used that, and they were not attacked. They were out on sea, and they saw this ship that traveled extremely fast. And with their scope, they were able to tell that some of the crew on board, in fact, none of them were of a normal race. They were like there were Gith. I think there was an ogre on board, an orc. Like there, it was just a mix of monstrous races. And they ended up hiding their ship in between some rocks along the shore. And they rolled really well, so they did not get attacked. But other than that, we haven't had anything happen at sea in my games. So yeah, like that's kind of the gist of it. The trip to such and such port takes 3 days. So that's kind of the gist as well in my games. We did it with that game a little bit, but I would, for example, also my characters in that game had like obscuring mist, and like we had basically a was it a sorcerer, like a weather sorcerer? Maybe it was a weather cleric. I don't remember if it was a sorcerer or a cleric of some sort. Um, but and I think Paula was playing that character, and so she made it easier to hide and things like that, and go faster, by ship. But it wasn't, that campaign didn't last too long, unfortunately. Who else? I don't even remember who else played in that game. We went to okay, so that was with a coworker, Paula, one of the best man at my wedding, originally another coworker as well. So yeah, and it fizzled out. The one coworker ended up, he was a younger kid, and I don't think it was fast enough pace for him to play a tabletop RPG. He blew us off to go skateboarding one day. He was like, "Heck, man!" And like that was when we took like a 5 minute break, and then he ended up quitting. Well, he blew us off to go skateboarding, and that was when I knew he wasn't going to come back. And so he had a dwarven wizard named Spectre that we had killed that night. It was great. Um, but yeah, so his character was killed off. Ooh, did I freeze for you guys? Looks like I froze on YouTube for some reason. Oh, okay, there we go. Not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Well, that's no good. Let me know if you guys had a problem there. But hopefully the audio still worked. But yeah, so we killed his character off, and then that's when my friend ended up joining us. He played a rogue. He wanted to play kind of like a Skyrim, sneak around, shooting his bow and sniping people. And that was cool, but he just, I don't know what was going on with. Oh, he went through a divorce and stuff, so we didn't finish playing. So and the session or the campaign died. So it was what it was. Um, but yeah, that was a few years ago. And since then, I have not visited that portion of my game world since that game. Sorry about the freeze, guys. Uh, I'm generally just too afraid to deal with 3 dimensions of water encounters. What do you mean by 3 dimensions of water encounters? Like ship, swimming, and underwater? Is that kind of what you're thinking? Hmm. Yeah, like I just so I am not somebody who's well educated on a lot of uh, boats and ship stuff in general. Like I'm not. So it's one of those things I haven't dove too much into. In fact, in that campaign, we had a player that he asked me a very specific question about a part of the boat, and he used the technical term, and I was like, "Hey, man, I have no idea what you're talking about. How about you tell me?" I was like, "I don't know the names of the parts on the boat and all that stuff. Like, maybe you tell me." And he did, and I was like, "Okay, cool." Oh, okay, yeah. So it's is it the mechanics then that you're worried about? Like the underwater mechanics? Because I mean, like if you're playing 5e, for example, I think it's just you have disadvantage to attack. Your movement is considered difficult terrain, like you're half speed basically, and you I think have to make a swim check to be able to move, kind of thing, or an athletics check to move. I think I could be wrong on that, but yeah. And then like your Constitution modifier is how many minutes you can hold your breath or something underwater, which is forever in combat because you're talking about 6-second increments. But yeah, I don't know. I think when you get into stuff like that, I I kind of would prefer to use more loose rules. Um, like if you're physically exerting yourself, like fighting to the death, and you're underwater and you can't breathe, you're not holding your breath. You're only holding your breath when you're not fighting. Like you can't hold your breath if you're in the middle of like fighting stuff and all this. Like you just can't do that or getting hit. Like it just doesn't work like that, I don't think. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. It's keeping track of elevation and whether surface or above characters can target below surface just seems like a pain. Yeah, I think if you do it just loose and don't worry about the rules too much, it can be a lot of fun. But yeah, I can see what you're saying about like elevation and stuff like that. Um, yeah, that would be difficult for sure. But how many people want to fight underwater? I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna try something here. I wonder. Let's pop out that chat. Bring that over here. Boop. I'm gonna see if I can fix the computer issue. There we go. So now that should help. I hope it does. Let me know if it does. If it freezes again, just let me know. I could also minimize this. That might help. Um, but yeah, world building is going to be a big part of 2021. Also, I think I'm going to do some game design stuff in 2021. When it comes to Pathfinder 2e, that has become my current system that I'm trying to learn. I would like to focus on getting the videos out for that system. So I'm going to do all of the classes, all of the ancestries. I'm about not halfway done with ancestries, but I'm approaching that mark. So I'll get those videos done, and then once I've done all the ancestries, I'm doing classes, and then I want to do the archetypes. Now the archetypes are real simple; they're very small, so it'd be easy to go over those. They'll be quicker, shorter videos, and then I want to go over to something else. So we'll see what that is. So can you talk for a sec about your tabletop setups? Do you have paper minis, pewter minis, plastic minis, encounter maps, theater of the mind, etc.? So because we play online right now, I do theater of the mind. But oh, you can't see it now, but I do minis. We do mini painting on Wednesdays. Paula, my wife, she comes on here and paints. She's in the process of painting this Valor right now. So we normally use minis. Most of them are pre-painted, but Paula really likes the painted ones that she paints. So we use some of the ones she does as well. Typically, when we have players who know what character they're going to make ahead of time, she'll paint their mini before session one. And so we get like a custom painted mini that represents their character for the game. And then we use it. I like to use terrain. I don't have a ton of it. I used to follow DM Scotty's crafts and do some of those things. I do have some flip mats, probably about 10 of them, maybe 10 to 15. The best one that I've used the most was from the Pathfinder First Edition beginner box, where one side's blank, basically. The other side's a dungeon. But I almost always use the blank one, and then sometimes I'll use terrain on top of it. But yeah, I also have tactical tokens from our good friend Dave. They're dry erase. They're like white tokens. You can write on them. You can get different colors. He just started doing new custom tokens with different pictures on them and things like that. He did some monster ones recently. They're really cool. So I think like for traveling, like if I'm going to someone else's house or if I have to go to a convention, that's what I'm going to use. It'll be that, dry erase markers, blank flip mat. And that would be it if I'm going to a convention. No, I don't have the Chessex one. I literally have I have the basic one. So where do I keep those now? I've changed my setup out here recently. I think they're in my rolling case, but I've got some of these. So I use these ones. Just they're the Paizo Game Mastery flip maps. So here's the city gates. The next one is city streets. The next one, and I don't think this is all of them. I think I got a couple more, but this one is the river crossing. You can see that's the two sides. The next one actually has a blank water one, but it's Waterfront Tavern. So you got this huge Waterfront Tavern with docks. This one's the Asylum, which is kind of cool. It's like an underground looking thing. So that one's cool. Next is Lost City, which I think is like the mountaintop one or something. Oh no, that's the temples. It's perfect for like Tomb of Annihilation. I think we've used it for that. And then the Watch Station right here. Watch Station has like a dungeon underneath and sewers, but then it has like a small keep that you could use as like a fort, like a small fort. Would you ever use printable PDF battle mats? So I've printed my own stuff. Not my own, but I've printed out some stuff I found online. I've cut them. I need to put them on cardboard backing, but I got like different tiles over here that I've done that with, like this. So yes, I would, but I haven't had a working printer in over a year now, I think. And to go to the store to print it, it's kind of a pain to get any good quality prints. But I mean, I would consider it. There's some people who make some stuff out there that I really like. Heroic Maps, I think, is one of them. Oh my gosh, Frank Tenkar, I think is his name. He does stuff that's meant to be printed and put on like 3D, like terrain style. Let's see, who else? There's a bunch of people who make stuff like that. I mean, I would be open to it. Yeah, I would see. The thing is, though, I can't print it really these days. So if I do, I got to go to an Office Max or something, and because of COVID, that's not happening. That's just not happening. So, yeah, I don't know, but yes, I would definitely consider it. Definitely. But yeah, so Pathfinder is going to be something I'm going to try and just bust out a bunch of videos, similar to how Chance does his spell videos, but not just put them all out at once. I don't use virtual tabletops. We do Theater of the Mind online. And that's it. So I do not use miniatures online or anything. I prefer to use miniatures, but yeah, without playing in person, we don't. And so online, it's all Theater of the Mind. Doesn't matter what system. And it's been totally fine. It's still been a lot of fun. For example, we play Descent into Avernus this Saturday. Play with Luke from the DM Lair, Nate WSD20, Bill Allen, and then Paula. So we will be playing on Saturday for that. And that'll all be Theater of the Mind as the players are running for their lives in Avernus. It's awesome. Oh, I can't wait. I have a feeling we're going to lose a character Saturday night. I just have a feeling. We had a character that was on top of a building, like what was left of a building. And he proceeded to yell, "Come on, demons, come and get me," at the top of his lungs in a city, basically. And so we ended the session, I think, with the demons, like ringing a horn or blowing a horn to alert a bunch of others. It was awesome. I can't wait to see what happens in that game. That's this Saturday, so not tomorrow, 2 days from now. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck was Chuck Norris? You've asked that before. Cameron, come on, something new. Come on, man. Oh, man. But yeah, so I do think in 2021 I will get back to doing some 5e videos a little bit. I would like to finish my old basic series that I haven't touched in a long time. I who knows? Maybe I'll get back into finishing the Palladium books videos I've done. Again, I do videos when I'm inspired and motivated to do it. I do not do. I try not to force it. If I'm not feeling it, I won't do it. Now, there have been times where I've been motivated to do something and I've committed to it and I started doing them and like I'll have like 1 or 2 or 3 more that I want to do and then all of a sudden I lose steam and then I force a video or two, but it's bad. And so I've made myself stop forcing videos. Like right now, I have like 4 videos that I have to edit still. Tomorrow, my 2021 video goes up. Um, I think there was another video. No, all the other videos I still need to edit. So yeah, right now I have a video for tomorrow, and then I have a few videos I need to edit on Sunday after my Sunday stream, because I'll be doing a stream like this on Sunday as well. This Sunday I think it's going to be more of like a working on something kind of stream, or maybe I work on some world building or something. I don't know what yet, but I'm going to work on a project at the same time that I stream. How do the players travel to Avernus in that adventure? Plane shift? I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Let's just say that an NPC helps them. We'll just leave it at that. It's actually the build up. So it felt like for a minute the players were. We've been playing that game for over a year. So we started in October of 2019, and the last session was the first time they got to Avernus, and we play every 4 weeks for about 3 hours. We've upped that, I think. I think now we go live at 8 and we wrap up at 12 with like a 10-minute break in the middle somewhere. So we play now for almost 4 hours. We're thinking that will help speed things up a little bit. But yeah, it felt like for a while the players were never going to get to Avernus. And luckily they were able to in the last session. And I thought it was actually kind of cool how the module writes it in there. So yeah. Cameron says, okay, then how many jars can a jam jar jam if a jam jar was Jackie Chan? That doesn't even work. I don't like that one. Come on, man. You basically just changed it a little bit. Come on, Cameron. But yeah, so 2021. So 2020, we play tested Rad Wasteland. Roll Stats played that game. He liked that. I think we all loved that game. We had a good time. We tried to schedule a follow-up game to play test some more things he had changed about it, and it never worked out. We couldn't get everyone on the same page schedule-wise. It just never happened. So that was unfortunate because I was really looking forward to that. Yeah. Jam is one of the best words in the dictionary. Why do you say that? But yeah, that was a fun game. That is a game that is it uses narrative dice similar to Fantasy Flight games. It uses different sided dice and different things, but it's a post-apocalyptic Wild Wild West. It was so cool. Yeah, I want to play again too. Roll Stats. I think Paula and I were the only ones that made characters for the game. So not only did we at least make our characters, we're the only ones that were ready to play at like the 3 times we tried to schedule or 2 times we tried to schedule. We just couldn't make it work. Like some of the people were on the West Coast, some people were on the East Coast. You know, it was just tough to make happen. Random question: pig-faced orcs or regular green big tough orcs? Get on a get on Aaron. I'll message him after this. I need, I should make notes while we're talking because I feel like things come up and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna write some notes down real quick about that. Like contact Aaron because I need to do that. So I will talk to Aaron about Rat Wasteland. For sure. But yeah, once I've done all my Pathfinder stuff and get caught up before Secrets of Magic comes out, because I don't think anything's coming out before Gen Con next year for Paizo that is going to warrant doing a bunch of videos on. So I might be able to get ahead with the Paizo stuff in the next couple months. That's my hope. That's my goal. When I do, I don't know if I'm going back to the 5e basics or not, because I feel like most people are beyond that. They're more for advanced stuff. They want to know, hey, my player is spamming this rotation every round. How do I stop it? And so maybe I'll do more like videos like that, where the original plan with Master the Game when we rebranded, we were going to finish the basic series and then we were going to go into build guides on how to like optimize a build. But the week that we did the optimization for the players, we were going to also do a video for the DMs and how to handle those optimized players, like different things you can do so that those characters just don't run away with the spotlight or run away with the game. That was the idea. So we were going to offer player tips and DM tips to counter those player tips, right? That was the idea with the channel when we rebranded back in 2017. And we never got to that point. Is that good or bad? I don't know. Because one of the things I like to do is I like to talk about mechanics, and sometimes I do like to know optimal things. But I also like to. I'm usually the DM, so even though I like talking about the optimal player things, as the DM, I like sometimes having to come up with things to stifle those OP characters, right? It's not something I always do. I don't like target players per se, but if it's like a homebrew game, and I have a player that spams certain things, then I'm gonna find things that stop it. And the more things I can find, the more I can mix up combat against them. So, or take them out of combat. Like they might have a high armor class in 5e, but my guy's really strong too, my monster. So he knows he can't hit you, so he's gonna grapple you and just at least take you out of the fight somehow. And maybe that's how you do it. Or which then allows other people to have advantage on their attacks against that guy. So now there's a better chance to hit him. Or, the typical, like, well, he's a fighter with a high AC, but his wisdom sucks, so let's hit him with some wisdom spells. Or charisma sucks, so let's hit him with a charisma spell. But yeah, I like to mix it up. I don't know, though. Pig face or not. I don't know. How about it varies? Maybe, I don't think mine are pig faced. Not quite. I usually just imagine them how the art has them depicted in the books. So that's all. No, I never ultra fine tune encounter level balancing ever. I have not at any point in 5 years and running hundreds of 5e games and playing in hundreds of 5e games. I have never once tried to balance encounters by CR at all. So when 5e first came out, I think I looked at it and I was like, there's no way this works. Because right away my thought went, well, what if your monster has this ability? And they have resistance to it? Or what if the monster has this ability and they don't have resistance to that? And now I knew CR didn't work, just looking at it without ever using it. I have created boss fights using the DM Dungeon Master's table for average damage output and things like that. I have done that to create a single monster for an encounter once, but I've never done the CR for 5e and used it in game. I've done it. I've done the math from Xanathars. I've done it from 5e with the multipliers for how many monsters, but I've never used it in game. So what I've always done, and I've tried, like, I've had DMs that got frustrated. I've talked to DMs, got very frustrated because they wanted to use the CR and it never worked. Even when they tried Xanathar's Guide, it never worked. And so I told them, I said, stop trying to do that. Literally just tell, like, what, like, just tell me right now, what do your characters do typically in combat? What is the composition? Do you have, how many players do you have? What are they playing? What level are they? And what is their, like, things that they do? Oh, you have a paladin who's great against undead? Well, shit. You want him to feel super heroic this time and have some spotlight? Throw a bunch of undead and let him wipe the floor with them. Next session, don't throw undead at him. You know, throw something that would be difficult for a paladin to encounter. You know, um, but yeah, like, are you using feats in your game? If you're using feats, that changes things. Did you roll for stats, or did you use the point by standard array? All that stuff makes pretty big differences when it comes to the power level in 5e. And I don't think people realize that. So, you know, like, for example, you could also, here's the other thing. You don't have anybody using a sharpshooter feat? Use cover. Just try it. It's going to change a lot of stuff. Uh, Make it so the environment is in favor of the enemies. Maybe they're on a hill. So now the players can only move half their speed up the hill. Also, the players don't have cover. Give the cover to the bad guys and watch what happens. You just made that encounter incredibly difficult compared to how it would be if you didn't, you know? So yeah, I've always just looked at their abilities, what spells they've used in previous games. I don't even look at, like, I don't go to their characters and go, oh, what spells do they have? I just know what spells they've used. And based on that, I'll usually go, okay, I know this might be a tough encounter, but I wing it. Hey, Paul is in the chat, awkwardly nerdy. Sometimes you gotta wing it and modify monsters that you like or make sense against your characters. Yes, I agree with that. And that's the thing too. I don't like in my Forgotten Throne game, I think we were like level 6 or 7. I threw 2 adult black dragons at the party and multiple orcs that were not normal orcs. They survived. Nobody died. So they did pretty well. They took out the orc that was leading it. And then obviously the other orcs tried to retreat or whatever. I think in the end, only 1 orc survived. The 2 dragons flew away because they were ordered to by the orcs. Plus, their mission wasn't to kill. They were there to mess up a resource, and they kind of did that. So, you know, that was the idea. Bromo Sunstar Ranger says, yes, feats in different ways your character got their abilities makes a great difference to your games. Yeah, it's huge. It's such a big deal. Did the Black Dragon acid ruin any? No, so they hid in the trees. And so did not have to worry about the acid. I don't think they got hit by acid at all. So that adventure, that day, there was a, I got to give you a little bit of backstory on the game. So from the start of the campaign, we played like 15 sessions or something, 16 sessions before it ended. But from the start of the campaign, the premise was that the forest was getting sick, and livestock and crops on farms were also getting sick and dying. And so one of the things that a bunch of clerics or druids, I can't remember, I think it was clerics, uh, were doing is there was a certain flower that they could use for a ritual to protect the forest and farms, but they needed a lot of it. And so all of the towns in the area sent wagons to this one spot to just collect these flowers. And so the wagons were getting full, and the 2 black dragons were sent uh, but with orc riders to just basically destroy these crop or these flowers. When they got there, most of the flowers were obviously in these wagons, so that was their actual mission, and so they were taking out the wagons. So again, it was less of a combat against each other. It was more of stop the dragons from doing this. They couldn't. Like they stopped some of it. There were a couple wagons that were good, but they couldn't stop all of it. I think we played one more session after that, unfortunately, and that was it. Game on. Welcome, buddy. Glad you could join us. Cameron says, do you wing cover effects or do you prefer to have that rule written out? I mean, in 5e, it's pretty simple. It's like full cover. You can't, it's basically disadvantage. You can't hit kind of thing. If it's like 3/4 cover, it's like a +5 to AC. And if it's half, I think it's like a +2 or something like that. So yeah, I use the 5e rules for cover. No problem. I think for a system, I'd rather have it written out. Like, I actually don't think you need to go into that much detail. I think you just say full cover, partial cover, no cover. No cover means nothing. Partial cover gives some kind of benefit, and then full cover should make it really hard to hit you. Maybe you get like an armor bonus too or something. I don't know. Like a reduction if something hits you through full cover. I don't know. That's probably what I would do. Paul says, I feel like orcs look like the black and white Twilight Zone show, the pig ones. Yeah, that's your old school coming out of you, Paula. That's your old advanced D&D, I think, because I think they had pig noses there. I like my orcs somewhere between a Gamorrean and a werebore. So I don't think, in thinking about it, I don't like the pig-nosed orcs. I actually wouldn't mind having. You could have a variety of types of orcs, or you could just have different monsters. You could have like this, I don't know, swine something. I was going to call them swine flu. You could have like some kind of swine race that's the pig nose orcs, and you could have something else that's the green tusk orcs kind of thing, right? So now you can like split it off into a whole nother race. Maybe that's what I'm gonna do in my own setting. I might have different kinds of things like that, where I take the art of the orcs over the years, and it's like, nope, this is not actually an orc. It's been called an orc, but it's actually, and make it different. That might be kind of cool. Melchior! The milk has arrived at last, and it's already New Year's Day on this side of the Dust Bowl. Yeah, well, we are living in the past, so you enjoy the future. Looks like you made it, though, so that's cool. What a wereboat was. Naval throppy. Happy New Year, Melchior. Love it, love it. If I include cover rules in my game, the rules have to be very simple and easy to manipulate for homemade. I think I'll do them the way you suggested. Yeah, I just think simpler systems are better. Um, like I'm enjoying Beckme. Paul and I were talking about this. She loves how simple it is. She doesn't have to worry about like all the different things she can do. She's enjoying that. And I think the barrier of entry for a simpler game is important, especially when you're talking about third-party games. Like, you're obviously making a game. You're not just doing it so that it sits on your bookshelf and it's never used by anybody else. So if you want to make the barrier of entry high and you want to build up people who are going to like what you're doing, it needs to be something they can sit down and play within a day. Like if it takes a month of reading for them to kind of understand the rules, it's not going to work. Like Pathfinder 2e would not be where it was if it was not like if they just made that and it was not done by Paizo. If somebody, just some random guy in his basement, made Pathfinder 2e, put it out on drive-through, and did it all on his own, it would not be popular. It wouldn't. And the reason is because the barrier of entry would be high, I feel. And it's not that it's not a bad game. I think people make tons of cool games all the time. I love Pathfinder 2e. That's a system I'm really excited about. But I think when I think you are, Paula says, did you just say simple systems are better? Where's roll stats? So in context of what I'm saying, for new players or for third-party publishers, yes, I think simple systems are the way to go. So if D&D 5e, so say D&D 3.5 never happened, Pathfinder 1e would not have been successful, I feel. It just wouldn't. If somebody was trying to build off of 4e, it wouldn't have been successful because 4e wasn't as popular. But if someone was trying to elaborate on 5e, I could see that being successful. Like if Pathfinder was like, or Paizo, say they had never done any of their games, and they're like, oh, we really like D&D 5e, but we want to do this. I think it could be successful expanding on it, you know? But yeah, I don't know, that's just me, I guess. I think it's too hard to get people to buy into a game that's going to take them weeks to learn or months to learn the ins and outs. And then they have to introduce it to 4 or 5 other people that have never played it and don't know anything about it. I just think that's too much of an uphill climb for a third-party system. You know? Like, there's people out there who like crunchier systems, hard-to-learn systems. And they might like that, but them also trying to get other people into who might not be into crunchy systems, again, it's still an uphill climb. Like, even with 2E, Pathfinder 2E, people are having a hard time sometimes getting the 5e crowd to like it because 5e is so simple and people like 5e. It's not boring for enough people yet, you know? I still enjoy 5e. Like I said, I like running D&D 5e. I do. There's something about, all right, I know this person's making this type of character, this one's making this type of character. There's something about that for me having a firm understanding of just the idea of the characters. I feel like I can run decent encounters. You know what I'm saying? So I haven't changed though, Bill. That's why I said it's the context that matters. Even though my favorite edition is 3.5, I do get why people hate it. Can you talk for a minute why you personally would rather not do 3.5e? So I never played 3.5. I played Pathfinder First Edition. So from 97 till 2010, I only played Palladium books. Heroes Unlimited was my favorite system. I played in 2010, I met my wife, awkwardly nerdy in the chat. She had come from advanced D&D. She had been playing that for, what, 10, 15, almost 15 years herself. I think she started around like 1999 or something. So she introduced that to me. That was the very first tabletop D&D game I ever played. And so I had fun with it. I felt like the rules were very restrictive, whereas like in Palladium, I felt like you had like more freedom. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but I felt like not the rules, but the build stuff just felt very restrictive to what you could and couldn't do. Like, oh yeah, clerics can heal and they can't use these types of weapons, and it has to be a blunt weapon and this, and oh, druids can't wear metal armor, and like, just I hate that stuff personally. I say let people wear whatever armor they want, no matter what class, and let them come up with the story reason why they can or can't. Like, I don't know. I don't like the mechanics saying, well, it can't be metal. Oh, but what if do they have a wooden shield? Yes. Okay, then you can use that. Like, I don't know. I just don't like that. But yeah. So anyway, so she got me into second edition D&D. I liked it a lot. Learned I that was when I started really liking fantasy RPGs more than modern RPGs. And then we played I played Palladium Fantasy then because I hadn't played that before. I enjoyed that because it wasn't as restrictive as Advanced. And then oh yeah, I've played a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Uh, it's good. It's basically Heroes Unlimited. It is Heroes Unlimited. It's just they used the Turtle IP and created a subsystem for creating mutant animals, which was really good for its time. It's now, so they don't have that IP, but they have, it's called After the Bomb. It's still the mutant animals and all that. It's got rules for making different kinds of animal mutants and stuff and how you want them, whether like you want them to stand vertical or have hands and opposable thumbs, like all that stuff. It's a fun game though. I have it down here. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't have After the Bomb. But yeah, so anyway, so we then played Pathfinder. I got really into Pathfinder in 2013. I bought a bunch of the books. I've sold a few, but I still have some over here. And I liked the books, and I liked reading them. The Pathfinder First Edition Game Mastery Guide was amazing. But every time I tried to run First Edition Pathfinder, which is basically 3.5, I just felt like there was always a new rule coming up, and it bothered me that I didn't grasp every single rule, the ins and outs. I was so used to one system with Palladium for so long that I knew the system really well, and at one point I house ruled stuff to make it better, and I was really comfortable with it. You know what I mean? And so then when I went to Pathfinder, I was not comfortable with it, and I was like, this might not work out for me. And then 5e came out, like the next 2014, summer 2014. And I had done the playtest at Adventurers League with a wonderful DM, cool group of people there, which is why I roll stats. I say you can find a good group at Adventurers League. It just, like anything, it just requires finding the right people at the right time. But I really liked the playtest, and then I was like, yeah, when this comes out, I'm going to buy into it. And it didn't feel as restrictive as second edition D&D to me, or advanced D&D to me. And so I liked 5e. So that's kind of my journey. So when it comes to like 3.5 and stuff, I just think having a rule for every single thing is a pain in the butt sometimes. I like to run things a little more loose. And within first edition Pathfinder, I didn't feel like I could do that without ruining a feat choice that somebody made, or because in that the way the feats were was like a tree, and someone might take like 3 feats that take them down this one path to make this one thing better. Like, I don't know, it was just very difficult for me. So I just wasn't digging that personally. But yeah, I mean, it's a good game. Like, I enjoyed playing it as a player. It's just as a DM, I didn't like first edition Pathfinder. I played quite a bit, not quite a bit. I played a few times of Pathfinder 1e. As a player, I loved it. I actually thought that was going to be the same way with second edition Pathfinder, but it's not. The rules, yes, they're crunchier, and you have some like 4 levels of hiding, basically. Like 4 different conditions, like you're spotted, you're hidden, I don't know, I don't even know them. But they're on the DM screen, so it's okay, and I pull out the DM screen when I run online. So but yeah, so that's what kind of bothered me about first edition Pathfinder in 3.5. It's just there's so many rules for everything, and they're not necessarily logical. They're just I feel like sometimes they're just there to be there. Does that make sense? They wanted a rule for grappling, and they made it super complex, and I was like, which obviously Pathfinder fixed the 3.5 version of grappling, but either way, it doesn't matter. Melchior says, it's hard to say. I've never played actual 3. Whatever or actual 3.5, so I'm only quoting what I've been told. Neverwinter Nights was based on 3.0, but has some elements of 3.5. Yeah, video games work great for crunchy systems. The Pathfinder Kingmaker video game, if it wasn't so damn glitchy, would be one of the best fantasy games play-wise that I've ever played. I really like playing that game. I hate that it crashes on me every time I go to the witch's hut. Every time. And that is why I'm taking a big hiatus from that game right now. I might have a corrupted file. I don't know. One of the Tiny D6 games is one about mutant animals in a sewer. I watched it get played and seemed to flow really well. The Tiny D6 games are really rules light. Rules light are cool. So again, I like some rules. I like some stuff. Rules light can be, for me, can go too far. Like Fate is a game I would love to play like a one-shot of, but that's like super rules light. That's just basically improv, and you have a character sheet with traits. Like, that's what it comes down to. But it would be fun, I think, still. It seems like Palladium is more suited to Theater of the Mind than D&D 5e. I mean, you can play any of it, Theater of the Mind or not. Like, the whole reason for you don't need movement rules for miniatures. Like, miniatures can be used just for reference. So, like, you could lay them out and be like, yeah, and ignore distances for the most part. You can go, yeah, here it is. Here's the layout of the field of combat, and that way you can visualize placement more. It's no different than people in the past throwing out like their D4s on the mat or on the table to just have an idea of where the bad guys are and where the good guys are. That's, at its core, that's all I need for a RPG in person. I would prefer to use that personally. But in Palladium, you know, you can have people getting shot 400 yards away, or not four. Well, yeah, 400 yards away. So in that case, you're not going to use miniatures. You know. Uh, Melchior says, I like the idea of a D6 based game. Awkwardly Nerdy says, really? I would think the opposite. What are you thinking the opposite of? The the D6 rules light? Melchior says, my cat is meowing at my window, begging for attention. Well, give it some attention. I told him to go play, and so far it seems to have worked so far. Well, that works better than our 2-year-old. Our 2-year-old does not listen to go play. Trust me, I tried it all day while working on editing a video at the dining room table, and he just kept coming up and screaming at me. I'm like, ah! Theater of the Mind. Oh, for Palladium? D&D 5e is perfect for Theater of the Mind. Perfect. Like, I mean, the movement's real basic and simple. You know, 30 yards or 30 feet or 25 feet, maybe 40 feet if you're playing like a monk with some quick feet, you know, or an elf with some extra movement or whatever. I mean, it's real easy to say, yeah, you can close the distance. No, you can't, you know. I love D6 games if I can roll at least 30 D6s at a time, like tabletop miniature sport games. So I like rolling dice. I don't like rolling a bunch of dice. I kind of hate that. If it's like if I have to use 2 hands to roll it, I don't want to. But there is something satisfying about rolling more dice for damage. That is for sure. So is Paula gonna join in on the world building this year? Are we gonna get her to do that in March? Everyone, peer pressure awkwardly nerdy into doing world building this March. It'll be great. We'll make her flesh out the part of my homebrew world that she created for a campaign we played. That would be awesome. I would love to hear more about that part of the world because I've been wanting to hear more about it since our campaign ended like 4 years ago. And I don't care if she had a plan for the end or not. I just still want to know more about that part of the world. Didn't we decide it was like an archipelago and there's like a bunch of islands or something? I think that's what we decided. It's like out in the middle of like the large ocean and there was, you know, a couple larger, not larger, but a couple, yeah, Thakos. There were a couple larger islands and then a bunch of smaller ones. Because didn't we like cut that orc's eyeball out and throw it through a portal? And really, it just took him to another island or something. We did something stupid like that. It was great, but we needed it for an ingredient. Yeah, my homebrew world was named by Paula because her game, she called it Thakos. I was like, Thakos? You mean like Thaco? Which was perfect coming from her because she's a advanced D&D person. She didn't even realize it. I was like, that's perfect though. I was like, I kind of like that name, and so we've ran with it, and it's become the name of my world, Thakos. Hey, no, I think having a crazy area is awesome. I want to know more about that part of the world. I think it'll be a lot of fun. The audience wants to know. The viewers want to know, Paula. It'd be cool. We could do like I'll record my videos and batch them, and then you can come and record your videos. It'd be great. We'll do 30 days of world building. It'll be awesome. You'll love it. Love it. Paula, you didn't play Rad Wasteland with us, did you? The first time. You created your character for the second game, but I don't think you ever played the first one. Who was in that? That was Lasagna Druid from the Discord, Brett, Bill from Roll Stats, and myself. Did we have somebody else in that game? I think we may have had one more person. I don't do any doodle art in my world building. I should, but I don't. Okay, fine. You're doing it in March. Sweet. Romo says, so Draven said you guys might play Aliens. That would be an awesome game. Yes. So I told him that I would love to play Alien. I don't have that game. It's a D6 game, which means it's probably pretty easy to pick up and play. It's a horror game, which probably means you're not going to be trying to fight things. You're probably running and hitting things as a last resort, and probably dying a lot. But yeah, I wanna play it and see if I like that system. That might be a cool game this year. That is definitely on the list. Melchior says I made a word maker program. It works like the TV show Letters and Numbers, where you select vowels and consonants, but select them in the right order to make a word. Oh, oh, I think you did that on stream once. You gave us a bunch of words that you came, or a bunch of them that you came up with. So Gary Gygax wrote books in the 80s that was like that. So you could find tables in this book of different like consonants and like not consonants, different like word structures and naming ideas. So you could go dragon name generator and it's like tons of options. I want to say it's just like the book of names or something. But yeah, selected the letter frequency by reference to a Scrabble set. That's interesting. You would probably like that Gary Gygax book, Melchior. I don't think you can buy the physical book now unless you're talking about like spending $100. So I think they're really expensive to get those old books. But he had some really interesting books that were like about world building and naming things and stuff like that. Yeah, you would like that book too, Paul. I'll look up that book. Maybe I'll order it this year. Maybe we'll get it at some point. It's a really cool book. I saw it. I saw a PDF once, but it was like all weird and just. I hate PDFs. I just hate PDFs. When it comes down to it, I have no interest in any PDFs at all. I don't know. Naming is the hardest part, though. I don't feel like names are the hardest part. Coming up with good ideas can be. Are you talking about like city names and stuff, Paula? What's hard for you with names? Like Astrid is a great name for a character. I actually have started considering making Astrid a character in our setting in Thakos. Like I don't know if I want to make her a deity or like a demigod or something, but I feel like that'd be kind of cool. It's all because of Rollstat's write-ups too. He's totally inspired me to make her a character in our world. I made the program because I'm terrible at coming up with names. Have you played FFG Star Wars? Yeah, we played at the start of the year with Paul, Lord Luapsor, on the Discord. It was a lot of fun, and because Paula loved it, I think that also lended itself to more fun for me as well. Jeffrey Garrison says, "I'm with you. I prefer actual books, but PDFs is a necessary evil for me." So when I used to work in an office, I used to sometimes take flash drives to work with a PDF, and we would have breaks, and it would be like a 15-minute break in the morning, 10-minute break in the afternoon, and a 1 hour lunch. I hated getting up from my desk, walking to the break room, like which was across the building, hanging out for like 5 minutes, and then going all the way back to my desk. So what I started doing at one point, this is before I met Paula, I would actually, was it before I met Paula? It may have been, but it was before she worked with me, I think. So I would, it was around that time. But I would, anyways, I would put PDF books on a flash drive, and I would look at them on break time instead. So I'd get up, I'd go get a glass, like go get water if I needed to, and I'd go back to my desk and I'd be looking at a PDF. That's what I did. Um, Now, I don't think we were supposed to plug any flash drives into any computers because I think we could have gotten in trouble for that. But whatever. Um, so that was the only time I looked at PDFs. In fact, that actually may have been what got me into Pathfinder 1E. It was a combination of I had someone sent me a couple PDFs of Pathfinder 1E, the core book, Game Mastery Guide, and the Bestiary, I think. And then I remember I was at the time, this is about 2012, I was watching a lot of Dawn Forge cast Pathfinder videos, and a couple other people did some Pathfinder 1E stuff. And so I started looking at the PDF books, and I was like, oh, I really like this. And so that's actually what led to me buying the books, because I was like, there's a lot of stuff in here I love. Same thing actually happened with Palladium Fantasy. I started looking at the books in PDF form. I liked it, and then I bought a bunch of them. That's kind of how that worked. So, but yeah, I prefer actual books. Yep. Melchior says portable document format. The best you can say about it is that it's portable. So I really love D&D Beyond when it comes to this. I'm not I'm not a fan of PDFs, but I think D&D Beyond's perfect. You don't necessarily have to read the whole book. Like you just want the character options, boom, there you go. If you want to look up spells, you got all those, boom. I hate that it's through a third party. I kind of wish it was through just Wizards of the Coast. But the company that's doing it's great. I love Adam Bradford and the stuff they're doing over there. Um, but like Paizo, I think could use something like that. And if they're hosting it, you don't have to count on it one day going away, right? You don't have to worry about it. And it'd be cool if it was like a thing that didn't have to be hosted. Like it was something, excuse me, that they could put up as a software program that you just always have. And that you can also download updates, through a browser. That's what I think would be really cool. Astrid as a demigod, love it. See, and you can write her into Thakos in your world building in March. It'd be great. Melchior says, my workplace unplugged the USB ports on all our computers for security. Yeah, they told us it was for security as well. Or not security, they told us it was because they didn't want you to infect the network with a virus. But, I mean, everyone did it. Like, everybody. Like, and when I say everybody, I mean, like, the president's son would have a flash drive and do stuff. Like, you know. There were there was somebody, I don't remember if it was like our vice president who was like of test or whatever. I think they were somebody on his computer was downloading Game of Thrones at one point, like one of the final 2 seasons. I remember that very clearly. I don't think they were punished for it. So again, I don't know how if they really cared that much. It was just in there so that if they wanted to get rid of you for it, they could. I think. Astrid Thaddeus is such a good sounding fantasy world character name. That was Paula's inspiration for it. That is her character. Oh, what was Paula's inspiration for it? That's a great question. Awkwardly Nerdy, what was your inspiration? Melchior, but at the same time, they left Word for Windows on there. Unchanged. I explored it and discovered a fatal flaw in their plan. Well, that's not good, Melchior. Paizo actually hosts all their books as PDFs on the Paizo site. Yeah, but I don't want PDFs. I want something that works more like D&D Beyond. Like I like that I can create a character in 2 minutes with D&D Beyond. Like if someone was like, "Hey, we want to play a pickup game in 10 minutes," I could have a level 10 character ready for it without like scrambling and rushing myself. PDFs don't let me do that. Also, while PDFs might be searchable, I don't know. I just don't feel like they're just not for me when it comes down to it. Word has macro language; it can read files. Yep. Uh, and write them the same way. It didn't take me too long to figure a way around their security, and I never told them. I mean, yeah, I mean, you can do that with Excel and Word and all that good stuff. Thaddeus was randomly thought of, but I wanted her to be very into the sun and stars, and Astrid feels very constellation sounding. Ah, I like it. I like it. Ooh, I mean, I don't know if I have a god of the stars in my setting. So my gods are based on the 7 deadly sins and the 7 heavenly virtues. Is the rough idea for my 14 gods. Now I don't explicitly state that when I'm talking about them, but I say like things that are important to them and whatever. So I made a Word script which could turn any file into a Word document and then reconstruct the original file from that Word document. Emailing Word documents wasn't restricted. Interesting. Unfortunately, she didn't last long. Nope, she did not. Where do you keep ongoing campaign notes and stuff? Written, spreadsheets, some website that supports campaign notes? Well, I do a few things, and I'm going to show you. Just give me a second. So, for example, for our Fall of Plaguestone campaign, I have a notepad, which actually I haven't been using it for this because it's more of a module, so I don't have to. But then I have a binder. And in this binder, I have initiative tents, note cards with NPCs. First page is the players, their characters, their names. I normally put notes. I don't have any of the notes written down there. Let's see. The second page was actually what I used for encounters. So I got like the mangy wolves they encountered, some notes for the post-fight, the alcohol that they were consuming, rot gut alcohol, or they were talking about. I don't remember because my notes do kind of suck. Notes about who's in the tavern, the Old Orchard bee swarm attacks, the fact they stayed in a dead house. Like, just, yeah. So I usually have something like this. I used to use the folders just that have the spot. Let's see. I have it right here. So I used to use folders like this that have a spot that you can put clear sheets on. So this part. And I used to do that right there. And that was, so then the first pocket on the left would be my DM stuff. And if players wanted to leave their character sheets, I would keep those in the right pocket. And then my outline of my campaign and any pertinent information, like if I had custom monsters, I'd put them in one of these clear sheets and then put that in the middle here. And so I could always refer to those things and stay consistent. This was one of my best organizational tools for campaigns. I loved that. All right, so this one is for the BlackRock game. I've got a module I'm running, which this is Under the Tavern by Gareth. Gareth is awesome. We have, again, a pad of paper that I put different, like, this is usually for just encounter stuff. And then what I put inside of the binder is first page is all player stuff, player information. I did the arrows so I knew who and why. Because at the beginning of a campaign we do that. Inside the first pocket right here, I have a timeline. I have a settlement sheet because I do that. I have a map. Some other notes about different areas of the settlement sheet, like of that city. The map has tons of notes on it. After the player characters page, I have a brainstorm of ideas and notes. And on here, I actually put some, like earlier we were talking about OP players or OP player characters. I do have notes about how to handle certain things that players might do. So I have like a spell on here that would work really well, for example. But I also put different notes that I come up with that will apply. Like if something inspires me in a session while I'm rewatching the session back, I will then come in here and jot a note down about it. Like, oh, what that person said made me think of this monster. I want to use that in a couple sessions. Or, oh, I said this thing about this item. That would be cool to have something come into play a few sessions from now about that item's backstory. And so I'll write things down. I wrote down, for example, one of the notes, it's not a big deal, but Riley wears black gloves with ruby stones or ruby stone on it. Nolte was flying around Port Obsidia, like literally flying outside of a library, like 20 feet in the air in front of a bunch of people. So, you know, I have a note that there's an anesthetic 3-day sleeping plant. Gray site, I think. Gray site, unoil, gray leaf. Again, my notes kind of suck, but yeah. Skeeter was the drunk homeless man. Will he come back later? We don't know. Maybe. They got an idol of the Raging Warrior. I don't think they have it anymore. They might still have it, but I made a note about that. So I got stuff like that in here. Whether it comes back into play or not, whole different question. But yeah, I love doing that stuff. So that's this is how I organize, and it works really well for me. And I have it in a milk crate underneath my table. So that's what I do. And right now I've got like 4 binders in here for it. So for different things like that. When a campaign is done or ends or whatever, just 1 second here. When a campaign is done or ends, it goes into this. And that is my world building notes. I need to take things in here. So it has like outlines of previous campaigns, things like that. The very first map that I ever made of my world, which you can find the video on this channel, this was that Orcs Arrow Peninsula down here. I've got the circles are like the towers, and that's like the Great Wall of China kind of deal that I was talking about. The ancient forest city of ancient elves are up here in this forest. The top left is Pirates. I think I called it Pirates Cove here. It's actually called Pirates Bay now, I think. This line here is the peaks of the mountains. And this is like a desert. So yeah, I got cool stuff like that. My write-up, so this is the first version of Who Are the Anvil Ringers, the faction I was talking about earlier. I have a 3 or 4 page document that I shared with my patrons a while back. That you can still, if you're a patron and you want to go find that, it's in one of the posts. Interesting. Some notes. I don't know what campaign those are for, but there's some cool stuff right there. I have notes over here about scalable magic items I was going to use. Legendary, which begins at low power and levels up with player's character. I think this was a map that Paula made at some point for one of our games. I don't know which one. Or maybe I did. I don't remember. And then here's an outline. It's only the first page of like a 3-page outline for a campaign. And that was the Black Hand Mystery campaign that we were playing. I've got a page write-up that I gave to my players before a campaign started about Boltania, which is a city. And then settlement sheet for Frog. Like, just tons of crap in here. I've went over it before. I'll do it again probably in the 30-day world building month, but yeah. China. How about that, Bill? Is that better? China. Oh man, I missed a bunch of stuff. Woo! Let me scroll up. So yeah, that's what I do. I also have some Microsoft, or not Microsoft, Google Docs for my world. I started, so for my 30-day world building, I did already, I know what I want the layout, like by chapter to be for my world Bible, right? So I have the bolded sections, like the gods, how magic in Thakos, the heroes of Thakos, the adventuring, or the factions of Thakos, which will include adventuring parties, um, things like that. I have regions of my world, like all that in there, and so I'm just ready to write once I get to it. And my idea is after the 30-day world building, I'll at least have like a really bad first rough draft that then I can make some sense of it again in a second draft. And it'll still be rough, still be a very rough draft, but I think that will get me to where I want to be with it. And then I can start like maybe bringing people in on the project and stuff like that. So I'm hoping if things are going well and how I assume they'll go, maybe by April I'll have a working rough draft that I can bring people in on the project with. Andrew, welcome, buddy. I've been using a bullet journal to keep my ongoing notes and such. Works so far for me. Yeah, I like bullet journals. I'm somebody who makes a lot of notes. Melchior says it's safe for me to talk about it since I haven't worked there in ages. Yeah. Cameron says, crazy Melchior, I didn't know they had Microsoft Word in the Stone Age. Cameron, you're such a jerk. Jeffrey says, bullet journals are cool. Melchior says, just how old do you think I am, Cam? That was the Bronze Age. Cameron's laughing. Everyone's laughing. Bullet journals are awesome. Could be super handy because mapping would be easy to just throw in there. Mm-hmm. Cameron, some people don't know there was a Copper Age. I find that weird. What do they think happened? Instant out. Dude, you guys are talking deep. Did the Phoenicians travel to the Great Lakes region for their copper to combine to make the bronze? I remember reading. Yeah. Much better. All right, I'm glad I can make you happy, real stats. Bromo says Astrid could be the first psionic of the realm, getting her power from subatomic particles, but the power is known as supernatural. Problem is she's dead. Astrid is dead. Oh, you probably didn't watch that far. My bad. That is some great work, world building, Juice, and great work. It is not great organization. Like this thing, not organized yet. Not at all. But so for example, this is an old campaign. This was my Elves of Assault Talus campaign. Again, DM notes in the front, which were fine. I was running Sunless Citadel, so I actually I have copies of the Sunless Citadel that I printed. I obviously have the book up there for Tales of the Yawning Portal, but I wanted something I can write on, so I knew exactly where the players were, so I did that. I have character creation rules and stuff right here, you know, and like all my notes are actually just in one sleeve here. I must have consolidated them. Oh, I've got monsters, needle blights, and stuff like that right there too. Character death rules, magic items for sale. Any magic items range from 10 times more expensive to 30 times more expensive than normal. Roll a d20 with a 1 equaling 10 times and 20 equaling 30 times. And so I guess I would just just estimate in between. Some items will have an additional price adjustment decided by the DM. So it wasn't like a hard and fast rule. So again, it was more loose. Character creation, because everyone decided to be all elven. There were things to disregard, but it was basically I let everybody have a feat because they all went with the same race. Character death. To avoid everyone playing the same characters every time, we will be enforcing a strict rule to play a new class when the previous character dies. This may apply to when we play a new campaign too. Optional if you want. You can roll completely random for a chance to be the same class as before, but you have to be whatever you roll. Best of 3 rolls. So I have dice for class, race, and alignment, and that's what I was referring to. And I probably was going to give a boon if someone decided to roll. Like, oh, if you roll, you start off with this or whatever. More rules to be added as needed later. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to mention them below, combining all books, PDFs to make a list of races, classes, and backgrounds. So the other thing I used to do when I would do stuff like this is I created a Facebook group where I would share these documents as well, so the players had access to them. This was the Forgotten Throne campaign notes. It's not very thick. But that's all the stuff from that game. I had maps. Um, for example, I made a subterranean thing that was kind of a fun session with sturges and stuff. I did have a doodle on our first session of what these stick bug parasite spidery things were that would climb through your nose and take over you over the course of days. Um, so I guess I did doodle a little bit, not too much. I had a map that I was working on, kind of like just so I had an idea of where things were and where they were going. So here's something I used to do. So remember how earlier I was saying when I'm gauging players' strengths and stuff, I used to fill this sheet out. This sheet is everything for 5e. Class and level, race, background, alignment, your attributes, saving throws, passive perception, hit points, AC, and then notes. And so under notes, I might jot down like a spell they do. I would only do this at first level. And then as they level, I just ask a quick question like, hey, would you take at third level? Would you take at fourth level? And I would just, if it was something I felt I needed to add, I'd add it. Good stuff though. Player character notes, the Kraken crew, I think is what we were calling them at one point. Lots of cool stuff in here. But yeah, so that's kind of the gist. I've got notes from like really old campaigns in here. The Black Hand Mystery, I was trying to use these things I got on Drive-Thru RPG. It's got a map, it's got initiative trackers, creature notes, rewards, story developments, tactics, features of the area, creature XP. But it had these stat block things. So you could fill out your own stat blocks for monsters. I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, so I used to use that. I don't use it anymore. Because again, over time, you just evolve and you find like you don't like using certain things as much as you thought you would. Or it was helpful, but, So yeah, there's cool stuff in there. I just need to put it into a concise, well-organized document. She was alive in our hearts. Nix was like, spoiler, ha 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 ha. Yeah, sorry, my bad. I use Office 365 basically. I do have OneNote. I actually used OneNote for a bit. I used to use it to organize like all my video ideas I wanted to do. I used it to organize world building stuff. If I came up with a random name for like mountains or a lake or whatever, I used to put it in there. I should actually check that out because I probably have some good name things. I should definitely do that though. Melchior says, death comes for us all. Jeff says, gotta run. Excellent stream. Take care, folks. Thanks, Jeff, for stopping by. Have a wonderful new year. The black racer catches up with everyone. Why's it got to be a black racer? Why can't it be like the red racer? The emerald racer. Come up with something more interesting. White and black are the most common descriptors, I feel like, of anything. Of like cities, weapons, whatever. It's always black or white. 2021, we're flipping that. We're changing it. We're going to come up with more creative. The fuchsia ranger. That's for you, Paula. I know you like to use bright colors. Jumping out to, all right, thanks for stopping by, Paula. Thank you for entertaining our wonderful guests. Bromo says, have you used any online world builders like World Anvil or Scabbard? So I have used World Anvil. I was affiliated with World Anvil, technically. But I haven't done as much with World Anvil as I thought I would. It's a really cool tool. It's very in-depth. A lot of the features aren't necessary, I feel. And so I get hung up with trying to find where to do certain things because each section on there has a different like template with different fields and tabs to find different things. And I understand it so you can like link things to certain areas and do all these other cool things, and it automatically puts headers. I like World Anvil. I was using the free version. Some of the paid features were really awesome, and I think I would still use it if I had access to the paid features, but I don't want to pay for it. I could do all this stuff in a Word document because ultimately I'm trying to turn this into a book that I can give to my players eventually, and a book that I can pull off my shelf. Because again, I don't want it all digital. I don't want scattered notes. I want a book for myself and my players. So that's what I'm actually working on doing this year. And you know, if I can make something that's cool and you know get it finished to the point where I know I want to like hire an artist and stuff, who knows? Maybe it'll see Kickstarter, and you know maybe I'll bring in some writers, especially Bill Roll Stats because his writing is gorgeous, and I love his writing, and hopefully I can compensate him fairly. That's kind of my hopes for 2021. The Black Racer is a character from the New God series of comic book stories, from the same universe as Darkseid. Oh, okay. So it's a DC Comics. That's why it's so uninspiring to me. I'm just kidding. Black Racer is the embodiment of death in the universe of the New Gods. I'm not a DC Comics fan. I like Batman, um, but I think the interesting thing about Batman was as a kid, I really liked his outfit. I was drawn to like the whole all black thing, but he was a good guy. I loved the Michael Keaton Batman movie as a kid. I loved the Batmobile. The idea that he had all these different gadgets was cool to me. I loved the Adam West Batman show when I was a kid. They used to show that on what show was that on? Or what channel? It wasn't Nickelodeon. Gosh, I can remember the number channel, but I can't remember what channel it was actually called. It wasn't TNT. Ah, I wish I could remember. Anyways, I used to love the Adam West Batman show. One of my favorites. Always had fun watching that. I had like 4 different Batman costumes before I was like 8 years old. That's how big of a Batman fan I was. When I was really little, I had like a blue that was a little bit lighter than this. It had the ears and just a cape, and so it would come down. I don't think it covered my eyes. I think it came down to here because it was more like a 3-year-old costume. So I had that, and then my mom made me one that was based on the Michael Keaton Batman suit. It was like a foam material, like a foam clothy material, and that one was cool. Maybe I only had 2? I thought I had 3. Oh, I had Spider-Man. Sorry, the third cool costume I had was a Spider-Man one. This is from well before DC and Marvel became separate comics, if memory serves me. I mean, Marvel and DC were always separate. DC had a different name at one point. DC and Marvel were never the same company, were they? I mean, I'm too young probably for that, but I don't think they were the same company. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so grew up loving Batman. Uh, Wolverine and Spider-Man were my other 2 uh, favorite characters. But I loved comic books as a kid, and when I played baseball, I would get rewarded for a good baseball game with comic books. Like if I hit a home run or if I hit a triple, I would get a comic book. And so there were games where I'd hit like 2 triples and I get 2 comic books. You know, it was awesome. So loved comics. I didn't read them. I just liked the pictures. I'm one of those kids. And I actually used to cut them out, and because as a kid I also like color forms, so I used to cut out certain pictures in the comic books and play with, like, here I got a Wolverine in this cool pose, and I got this bad guy in this pose, and I'd play with them. So that's what I did when I was like 7, 8 years old, um, with comic books. I don't think I ever got any like really rare ones. I think the lowest number one I ever got was like a 30 something or a 20 something for like X-Men at some point in the early 90s. Um, but yeah, it was good stuff. But I loved the animated series of X-Men. I love that it's on Disney. Um, the animated series for Batman was always good. I liked that. And the Spider-Man cartoons I used to like a lot as well. So not the super old ones, but again the 90s ones, right? I really liked those where you had the Sandman and you had the Lizard Doctor guy and you know all those. Those were, I'm terrible with names, but those were my jam in the 90s. And then Power Rangers, of course, when I was like 8 years old. Power Rangers is so bad if you try to watch it. Don't go back and watch it. It's bad. It's terrible. My daughter loves Power Rangers. I can't stand it now, which is really unfortunate. When I saw it on Netflix like 8 years ago, I got so excited about it. And I went to put it on and I watched like 2 episodes. I forced myself through 2 episodes. I was like, this is garbage. You were friends with the scorekeeper? No, that wasn't a 3-base error. That was a triple, right? Dude, I was good at baseball when I was a kid. I played baseball from the time I was 4 until I was like 16. So when we used to, so when I was 4, my neighbor was a year older than me, and we played t-ball. He was on a different team than I was, and then he moved up to coach's pitch when he was 6, I think. And so for me though, I stayed in t-ball when I was 5 and 6. Then I went to coach's pitch. He was still in coach's pitch at like, I don't know, 8 years old or whatever, 7, 8 years old, yeah. And when I was 7, I was in coach's pitch, but we were on different teams. And then we went to, it was recreational, but we then did JV and varsity. So you had a varsity level team and a JV team, and the varsity team could come pull kids from the JV team for theirs. And that was where kids actually got to pitch. It was not quite Little League. You didn't travel to play. But some of the players on our teams did also play Little League. And I was still good then. But for some reason, when I hit like, I remember one year, maybe it was when I was 9. I just could not hit the ball. Like it was a rough year. I couldn't figure it out. I don't know if it was like what it was, but I remember that whole season I felt like I sucked at hitting. I was still good at fielding, but sucked at hitting. I needed glasses from the time I was 7. I didn't get them until I was 15 in high school, or 14 in high school. But yeah, so I just couldn't hit. And then finally, the next year, because those couple years for JV and varsity, we were on the same team. And yeah, it was good though. I always was pretty good at baseball. I loved baseball back then. There are 10 types of people in this world: those who know binary, those who don't, and those who weren't expecting a trinary joke. Okay, Malky. You're so random sometimes, dude. But yeah, so I don't know. Got way off topic there. Yeah, world building's fun. I like to do that. I just like the creative stuff behind the scenes of RPGs. Like that is, I think, one of my favorite things. I like to play the games. I like to run the games, but I think it's just more of the creative. It's the creative side that really gets me going. Like that inspires me. I love talking mechanics, um, because again, I like to fidget with the idea of different things with that. I do like creating my own stuff, but I don't usually use it in my games. So I'll come up with like different races or classes here and there. I never put it in my games. In fact, most of the time I don't even make it an option for my players. It's just something I like to toy around with, or just think up and talk about. We used to, a few years back in the one-shot group, we would do these chats like this, but we would have all like 8 other people in the chat too and just talk to each other. Most of them were not streamed, and we would just, like, it was on Google Hangouts. And we just talk about like 5e and, oh, it'd be cool to make a class like this or a monster like this with this ability. Loved it. I'm thinking of that old song when you say that, Melchior. My mind moves in mysterious ways. It's jokes to perform. She moves in mysterious ways. What was that? Like that was early 90s, wasn't it? Was that U2 or something? Who sang that song? I can kind of hear it in my head, but I can't put a face to it. I don't know. Anyways, Melchior thinks between the raindrops. Yeah, I don't even understand that reference. I'm confused. Dang it. Bill is our OSR correspondent moving forward, by the way. Roll Stats is the master of the game OSR correspondent. I'm writing that down. It was YouTube. Okay, that's what I thought. I couldn't remember, and I'm like, it's been so long since I've heard that song, I couldn't, you know. Actung, baby. Peter, how are you doing? I don't know why I didn't notice you jump in sooner. And now that I look up, I see your name a couple times. One time. Whereas Peter is going to be our Stars Without Numbers correspondent. Next week's going to be fun with Pulp Cthulhu. I have a feeling. My mother said that I had a grasshopper mind, always jumping from one thing to another, but in reality, I just see connections which other people miss. Normally in conversations, I sometimes go down a weird path as well. I can be pretty random at times, especially if I'm tired and I can't focus. I go all over the place. I took a nap today. I did not eat dinner. I decided to take a nap instead because I was really tired today, and I feel really good right now. I jump between connections so quickly that by the time I reach something I want to talk about, nobody else knows how I got there. Yeah, that makes sense. That's okay, man. Melchior, we love having you around. We love it when a wild Melk appears in the chat. I'm telling you, I see that in video games all the time. I feel like that's like a Pokemon thing. Or an old Dragon Quest thing. A wild slime appears, I think is what it used to say. Wild blue slime appears. Which those games are phenomenal. I think somebody made the monsters for those for 5e. Like they did the stat blocks, and they used all the old Dragon Quest monsters, like the blue slimes and the metallic slimes, and all that good stuff. The red slimes, and all, like just the monsters throughout that game. I think were made into something at some point. I'm more like a mild Melchior. Well, stop being mild. So we're probably going to go for another 43 minutes or so. But yeah, I'll take it. Stars Without Numbers correspondent. I've been known to be a space cadet. There you go. Really though, roll stats, BN Drake, you guys running games on my channel has been awesome. I really appreciate that. Obviously, it's fun to play in them, but it's also helpful to my channel. So again, I really appreciate that. I just want to say that. Now we just need to get people to run Pathfinder on the channel so I can play that as well. Maybe have someone run Rifts. I'll play that as well. I'll stop running games. I'll play all games. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe one day. Don't make me wild. You wouldn't like me when I'm wild. Oh, okay. O'Neill Flynn says he's a space cowboy. Oh my gosh. By Monster Magnet? Yes, that song. I need to go listen to that now. Is it Space Cowboy? It's like Space Lord Mother. You know. Anyways. Next week's session is always sanitized. And hopefully I remember to look at this note before that. Always sanitize. Maybe I'll just this Sunday I'll make that thumbnail and get that primed and ready to go. So I've noticed sometimes when I set up a stream, when I have multiples in the queue, it'll sometimes choose the wrong one that I stream. Like I'll go to the correct one and it'll sometimes stream the wrong one. And I don't know why. I miss a lot of references, Melchior. I'm sorry. I'm not someone who like is known for quoting movies and stuff. I'm really good in like pop culture references when it comes to like who is the character that blah blah blah, or you know, but like specific quotes and stuff that I'm not good at that. I my brain is full of like pointless facts about like pop stars and stuff in the 90s and TV shows of the 90s and whatever. Maybe even the early 2000s. And wrestling and sports. I know like meaningless things about those as well. But that's me. Whatever. Sanitized. I'm not sure Luther even knows what that means. Oh, don't worry. We will just rip Luther's clothes off, douse him with a hose, throw powder on him, and douse him with the hose again. I don't know if that's how it works in prison. I feel like that's what I've seen in movies and stuff. Because they just like throw powder on him. What are they throwing on him in those movies? Is it lye or something like that or whatever? Is that what it's called? Lye? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so again, we will do Rifts January, Dragon Age February, and I think Fantasy Flight will be our one shot for March of Star Wars. That's what I'm thinking for the next 3 months. Although I think Roll Stats wanted to run a game of something as a one shot at some point. So maybe we push out one of those games and do that instead. I wouldn't mind playing in a game for a one shot with the patrons rather than running it. That'd be cool. That would be cool. Oh, stream is still. Why does it do that? The current bitrate is lower than the recommended bitrate. We recommend that you use an audio stream bitrate of 128. I will jot that down. 28 kbps. I swear in 2021 I will sort out all this streaming nonsense. I think Luther has had several experiences similar to that, but they all happened in Tijuana. Milker says, fun fact, lye is one of the main active ingredients in most. I know it is. That's why I asked. That's why I asked if that's what they're throwing on them. I don't even know what lye, like, is it a powder? Like, I don't know. I have no idea. I know it can burn the hell out of you, which is why I think it'd be perfect if it was used in a prison system, but I don't know. I mean, not really perfect. I mean, it's kind of crappy to do that to somebody, even if they're a criminal, but, you know. My plan for our next Pulp Cthulhu session is to not get eaten by a shark. I just that's not fun. Not fun at all. So Sunday's stream, like I said, I want to do some kind of work on something in that time. What should I work on Sunday? Should I do some world building? Tonight we talked quite a bit about it, which was cool. I like talking about it. What would you guys like to do on Sunday's stream? Any ideas? Sunday morning stream? I could work on that. I could look at a specific game system, go over like some stuff for that. We can do a lot of things. I'm trying to get them down to like an hour and a half hour. Last time I think we did 4 hours on a Sunday stream. It was crazy. Absolutely crazy. The powder I'm thinking of is not lye. When they hose people down and throw powder on them, they are delousing them. What is delousing? That's interesting. Yeah, I really have no idea. I just see it in movies and I'm like, what is that? I'm sure they always say it too. You never know. Hell, I could paint minis on Sunday too. I could just sit here and paint a mini. If that's what you guys would prefer. I suck at painting minis though, so I probably wouldn't show the mini because you guys don't want to see that. If you were to throw lye on a person when they were wet, it would eat through their skin. Lye is a very strong base. Yes. Yeah, actually, I should know that from chemistry class, but you know, delousing is killing lice. Oh, do they still do that today? Like, is that a big deal for them? That's interesting. Do that many people have head lice or lice? I've never, like, I feel like it's never been an issue except in school. Like, schools are the only place where lice seems to be an issue. Uh, Pyrethrum? Gotcha. Yeah, lice, I remember my sister had it when I was like in high school or middle school. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I've never, like, outside of that, it's never been an issue. I feel like, do a lot of people have lice? I mean, I know it's a thing, but is it like, how come it seems like kids always have it, but nobody else? Because you can see the bugs, like when people have a ton of lice, it's gross. Have you ever watched a video of somebody with like tons of lice? It's disgusting. School and jail. Yeah, but why? Where do lice come from? I feel like I need to look this up now. I need to look up lice. What is the life cycle of lice? Where do they live? Where like all sorts of crap. Do you get them from like wild animals? Is that like, are they actually like out on animals in the wild? Pyrethrum was originally made by drying and crushing the petals of the flower of the same name. Nowadays, they artificially manufacture the active ingredient. Ah, okay. Depends on their living conditions. Because like ticks are something I always hear about too. And I remember when I was little, we were told to be careful in the woods. I never had a tick though, ever. I've never had a tick bite me. Luckily, knock on wood. But yeah, and I mean here in Michigan, we tend to get a lot of ticks, depending on you know conditions. Yes, they still do it, at least here in Cook County. My cousin is a Cook County sheriff, works Cook County Correctional, and yes, they delouse all incoming inmates. Gotcha. Interesting. It's carried by mice and other rodents. Oh, interesting. That is very interesting. I did not know that. Hmm. Mice are disgusting things. They're so gross. Rats are more gross though. Yeah, I'm feeling like Sunday's gonna be a world building day. Just for fun, I'm just gonna do something and write about it. I think I'll do it for the BlackRock game because I've been meaning to do that. Actually, yeah, move that out of the way. At least for like the surrounding towns, come up with some ideas. Uh, Lice come from a person who already has lice. There are different kinds of lice, and each kind prefers a particular species. Oh, okay. Yeah, but they don't like originate from people. Like it's kind of like the chicken before the egg kind of debate. Like they don't just happen. That's the weird thing about flies too. Like you can have like a closed trash can that one day magically has larvae in it. And it's like, where did that like come from? Like an exterior, like a garbage outside that's sealed or closed, and all of a sudden there's larvae or whatever, not larvae, maggots. It's like, what? How did they get in here? Oh, there's other interesting notes. What game was that from? Here was a blank map. This was the unfinished version. That was, oh, that's west of the BlackRock game, actually. Ah, there we go. So it's like a swampy area. That's right. Bog Sylvania. Such a bad name. That name's getting changed. That will not be the name in the end. Flies laid eggs. Yeah, but I mean, I understand they have to lay their eggs before you get the maggots, but how did they lay their eggs in something that was in a sealed container or a closed container? That blows my mind. Lice from birds or rodents would prefer to live on birds or rodents, but they'll take people if they can't get their preferred species. Oh, okay. Gosh, that's so bad. Yeah, my naming sucks. Hey, look, we got a doodle from our game that Paula ran for us. This is a map she made of a city on Thakos. George, Gorge and Forge, Whimsical Mice Inn, Rohensel Storm Station. I don't know. Big Nut Squirrel, Best Nuts, House Renault. Oh, that's so great. Oh, a map I made for a game. It's a 7-room dungeon. I'll flash it quick. Woo! Oh, a mega dungeon I was working on. It's just the first level. It's the Hall of the Elements. It's like the 4 elements. Oh, character. Unearthed Arcana. Old advanced D&D character. This was awesome. What level were we? We were 4th level in this game. Yao Fei, Chaotic Good, from Alfheim. He's an elf. He's 6'2", 220 pounds. He's got a strength of 18, 97%. His dex is 9, con 14, intelligence 9, wisdom 9, charisma 13. He's actually pretty good. At 4th level, his hit points were 29. He started with 3, I think. So in a few levels, he got quite a few. Wow, that's interesting. Armor class 0. It's +2 when he's shieldless. Without magic, it's +1. He had plate mail +1, a standard shield, and ring of the gallon. I don't know. Long sword, short bow, infrared vision, weapon specialization, blind fighting, weapon smithing, armor, longsword specialization, short sword, short bow, +1 elven, swimming. This is a cool character. He was really good. I like that character. I will never get to play him again. Sniffle, sniffle. Is the plague from lice? O'Neill Flynn says, trash cans are not airtight. Oh, I know they're not airtight. But I mean, how does a fly get in there? They can't lift a lid. It's not like, I mean, I know it's not like sealed, but how the hell do they get into there? I do miss the rough dungeon crawlers from the early days of D&D. Yeah. Fleas caused the plague. Yes, I've heard fleas. Yep, I've definitely heard fleas. Nothing says fun like rolling a 1 on your level 1 hit point die. Right? I think that was because a 14 was a 0 bonus though. So I think I rolled a 3 on the level 1 hit die. At least that's what it says when I look at the sheet. It says hit point adjustment 0. So 14 did not give me a bump to any con or hit points or whatever. I don't think I need. Well, maybe I'll leave that. Maybe I'll leave it. I don't know. Oh, from our 2nd edition D&D game, there was a dragon underground, and there was like water. We had to take a boat to get over by the dragon. That was cool. There was a Minotaur cave that we did at one point down here. Gosh, this is good stuff. This is Paula's notes for her character. Oh, the map for the Minotaur cave went off the side, so she had to do it like that and that. I was not her mapper, ever. Speaking of which, we are now on to Paula's character. Her character was Lila, a half-elf, also level 4. Her strength was a 9. What was her class? I don't even know what class. Oh, druid. Dex 16, con 9, int 10, wisdom 18, charisma 15. How did she get such good skills or good attributes? I don't remember that. Armor class 4. Spear, dagger, staff of the serpent, falcon, bullseye. Yeah, I don't know. That's cool though. Her spells: Cure Light Wounds, Animal Friendship, Entangle, Light, Beast Mask, Warp Wood, Heat Metal, Heat, Cold, Speak with Animals, Fire Trap. I don't know. So this is what I used to do going into a session. I used to have this sheet. I used to call it a campaign sheet or an encounter sheet or whatever. And so then it says at the top, where are the players at the start of the session? What are the goals of the session is the next box. And then I had stat block boxes. Where are the players at the end of the encounter and where are they possibly going? How have the players' actions changed the story moving forward? And if you notice, it's got my really old logo from like 5 years ago. Another settlement sheet. Does this make me organized? Because I feel like I'm disorganized because there's nothing good here. like it's not in any semblance of any order. I don't know why I used red ink, but I used red ink for prep notes that I typed up. I don't know. Crawl in under the lid. I mean, I guess it just seems crazy that happens. Seems like it happens in a lot of places. Flies often sneak in as you're closing the lid. Well, flies are stupid. Working on a one-shot today myself. What does a grocery store for life look like? What? What does a grocery store for life look like? I have no idea what you're asking, Cameron. That's weird. But yeah. Oh, so this was my coworker game of notes here. Boom. This was my session prep notes. This may have been 2 sessions worth of prep right there. Here's more prep notes, and then I wrote a bunch of monster stuff for the encounters. And that's probably why I used red ink, because the black ink was probably all out. Encounters they ended up skipping, got read it out. Don John, great website. Go check it out if you ever need a quick adventure. Notes for the Keystone Tavern. Actually, sketches. The different levels of the Keystone Tavern. Oh, okay. After the Keystone Tavern, there's the map that I made. So I knew where they were. I didn't really need to do that, but I did. These are just monster things. I basically take all my notes from a campaign and throw it in this binder. So some stuff's just like random encounter stuff, like stat blocks. And it's like, I don't really need it in here, but I'll leave it in here. So if I ever decide I want to get technical about the type of monsters in certain areas, I can. Tribes of orcs that serve Biaka. I don't even remember who Biaka is. The Glass Coast, Nalena Hill, Ironhaven, Farwater, Moorkeep, Windvale, Herwell Palace, Oakhart Moor, Stonehall Keep, Steelhaven, Gazmere, the Iceblade Kingdom. Those are all cities in this one continent, like this one big continent. Well, not the Glass Coast. That's, and it's called the Glass Coast because it's up north and it freezes. And so then when it starts breaking apart, you get shards of glass or ice that wash up on the coast. That's how it got its name. I don't know. I kind of like that one. How's the one shot coming along, O'Neill Flynn? Yeah, let's hear about that. Not bad. Got the location figured out. Working on the NPC stuff. What system is the one shot for? I think I remember seeing it earlier, but I don't remember. Here's all the cities of that part of the map too that I put on there. And that was actually the thing I gave to the players so they had an idea of all the cities of what was like what. So they didn't have to say, well, what do I know about that city? I just be like, whatever's on your sheet. Here's another map, same basic thing. I wrote because one was a player-facing map, one was my map. So that's why I have 2. Okay, and then here were my notes on each place. So I made an outline where the, you know, the big part would be like Oakhartmore, and then it says there are local hunters, blah blah blah, and then I have like bullet points and stuff underneath it, and sub bullet points. That's actually pretty cool. 8 Pillars of Death campaign. Yup, that's good stuff. Settlement sheets. I got so many notes. Look at this. I got little notes that are like folded up of different things. Like, ooh, dropping them everywhere. World building's great. This is, and then once I get my world building stuff done, I could probably just throw all this stuff away. I won't throw it away until I've written it down, though. That's the thing. Until this is part of the written stuff, this is not going anywhere. Man, the Black Lake one shot. Oh, I remember that. I played that with, did I play that with Black Magic Craft? I didn't realize he played in a one shot with me. Andrew Knapp, Scott, Jeremy, Lionel, Mike the Piper. I did not realize I played with all of them. That's interesting. The Iron Forest. So that one, the Iron Forest, had a Baylor at the end, and I killed everybody, I think. I think everybody died at the end of that session. The Reclaimers. It's good stuff. So one of the things I've always said is if I ran a one-shot or a campaign in my homebrew world, the characters, whether they lived or died or whatever, would be canonized in my world. So when I did one-shots, that's what I always did. So here's my long-forgotten god outline. It's only 2 pages. The yellow stuff is the things that they did. The pink stuff failed to happen. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it went. Like, or they failed it. So there's a lot of failures. That's cool. I didn't realize I still had that either. I mean, I feel like I should have known I had it, but you know. Hey, what's up, Michael? Dead Aussie Gamer? I'm going through like all my old like game notes, dude. Because Sunday I'm gonna do some world building on stream, and I'm gonna take something from here, and I'm just gonna write it. So I have. Here's the other thing. I don't know where these old documents are. I actually did start writing stuff a while back. So this is like stuff I've written about my world already. I don't know how many pages worth. Some of it's just placeholder stuff. But I remember printing it all out so I could like start making notes on this. So like for some reason I put like information about some of the classes too in the areas. I don't think I necessarily want that. So like wizards, most elves of the city of the ancients know some magic. The ruler even has his own court of highly skilled mages. I don't know. I'm probably gonna take stuff like that out and not organize it by class and just write it into the paragraphs in a good way. So, you know. By the way, Dead Aussie Gamer, Happy New Year. I know you're living in the future, and I hope it's bright. I hope it's a good year already. Would kill to have my old game notes. Most of my stuff was digital and was gone when I, yes, 100%, dude. Like it's all, this is all old game notes right here. Actually, this is all old game notes. As player, DM, I've got one-shot stuff in here, and I'm gonna put it all in my own setting. I'm gonna write it all out. And this year, 2021, that's my resolution. I will publish. I'm saying it right now. I'm not gonna say I'm just gonna get it done, but I'm gonna publish my own setting. It's gonna happen. It has to. I've been putting it off for too long, saying I'm gonna do it. for 5 years, and now it's just going to happen. Here was the first campaign of my world. Took place there. So this is the Orcs Arrow Peninsula area, and this is like the Pine Run area. We played that with like Nate from WASD20, Nicole, who's in our BlackRock game, her husband Dustin, Paula. We had a couple other people come in and join us, and that was cool. They joined us for like a couple sessions. Some of them were there for a while. Like a guy named Steve was there for a while, and then one day he got mad. Not mad. He's like, "Yeah, I'm not sure your style's for me." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, you gave us this like flashback to start the session, but why would you do that if my character doesn't know it?" I was like, "Because I was trying to introduce the bad guy without you guys having to fight him at all." like I was trying to provide a what's going on in the other parts of the world. Anyways, he didn't like the whole like scene because I would give them information about the bad guy, but their characters didn't necessarily know because I was trying to make it interesting, like a movie. He hated it. Like the ritual that brought the old god back, I described to them as happening at the start of a session once, and I think that was the session he didn't like. But I like described the ritual and how these guys came up and cut their hands and were bleeding on this altar, and while they're doing it, this guy was they were doing the ritual, and all of a sudden the blood formed into the body of this guy, this creature, this old god, and then like I think it absorbed all of them, actually, not just the blood that they dripped on the altar, if I remember right. Oh, this is the vampire session that we had. Oh, that's good stuff. This is so. I probably shouldn't be doing this on stream. I'm sorry. It's probably not interesting for you guys just watching me flip through papers, but I love it. I'm kind of distracted. We're only going for another 10 minutes on stream, but this is good stuff. What is this? Cutscene. Oh, this was the. Okay, I think this was it. The doors swing open, slamming against the walls. A heavily armored orc walks up to it. This is not it. Walks up to a throne where a robed figure sits, surrounded by other robed figures. The orc explains that his forces nearly destroyed Pine Run in the pursuit of the other body parts. A ranger named Smiles has them. Smiles was played by Steve, the guy who didn't like the flashbacks and stuff. Interesting. The way I prep now is completely different. So this is a session of notes. And I've got like what happens on day 1, and I have a D6 chart. 1 and 2, heavy armored orcs and giant dragon owls. 3, orc troops on foot, some heavy armored and some lightly armored. 4, traveling merchant with discount prices and possibly some magic items. Number 5, nothing. Number 6, a group of people who fled from Elda. The city is under attack. It should hold up, but they were stuck outside the walls when the attack happened. Oh, so I was trying to bring them down to Elda because it was, yes, this was like one of the last sessions. Because the idea was there was going to be a fight for Elda, which was a city south of where they were. And then that's where, basically, if they didn't act, the old guy would take over this large city and just start building an army to take over the world, basically. That was the idea. Okay, here's the notes. So cutscene 1, the sun is going down, and the last day's light shines on the stairs to a temple. Robed men, each one carrying something, walk up these steps into the temple. Quietness as each man walks into the darkness. Once inside, you can see candles lit around an altar. Red hue from the red glass dome ceiling lies on the room. They all, one by one, lay down what they are holding on top of the altar before circling the altar. And then I cut scene 2 later on. Each robed person walks up to the altar and cuts the palm of their hand open, shedding blood on top of what lies on top of it. The moonlight now shines through. Man, my writing sucks. The moonlight now shines through the red glass in the ceiling, humming and chants of I don't even remember how I was saying this, but Magna virtut et resurgit echo through the halls. As the last man does his part of the ritual and stands back in his place, with his hands raised up like the rest of the men towards the ceiling, the men begin to cry out as though they are in pain. Shortly thereafter, each man clutches a different part of his body and falls to the ground. And then cutscene 3. So again, these cutscenes happen throughout the session, but didn't happen like right after, like back to back. So cutscene 3 was flesh is ripping off of these robed men. It slithers its way up the altar to the body parts lied out on top of the altar. Slowly they begin to take shape as the men on the floor are no longer robed and no longer screaming in pain. A priest who must have been hosting the ritual steps forward to the head of the altar. He raises his hands to the red glass dome as it shatters. In front of him, standing on the altar, is what appears to be a hideous monster of a person. Gazing into the eyes of it is like looking into hell itself. And that was all the cutscenes for that. And that was the god being reborn. So the bad guys were trying to get body parts, the petrified body parts of him from thousands of years ago. And in doing so, they didn't get them all. And so, because I think the players got a couple of them. Or maybe that happened after they got all of them. I don't remember. Bromos, do you use random encounters in your games relevant to the area they are in? I like using them when the adventurers stop to do something like camping or beating down a door, figuring out a puzzle. Yes, they always have to be relevant. If they're not relevant, I don't use them. Oh, here's their characters. So they were only level 5 in that campaign. I was slow to level them up. I feel like we did a lot in there. We fought like vampires. We went and fought elementals at one point. We were on a quest to stop a bunch of cultists from bringing back a dead god. There were slavers of like monster races. So a bunch of monster races were being enslaved and treated poorly. And the players came across an NPC that was trying to like underground railroad them out of a city. And so the players helped with that. Like, yeah, we just didn't level up very fast. So Paula was playing Leah Nalo, a rogue high elf. Nate was playing Malcolm Shale, who was, I believe, a storm cleric. Dustin was playing Velner Crux, a human fighter. Great weapon, fighting feats, heavy armor master feats. So we had 2 feats. Oh, because he was a human. Yep. Paula basically auto crit if she was unseen. Oh, because of the assassin ability, probably. So we had gotten that rule wrong. Nicole was playing Kiana, a druid half elf. Circle of the Land druid. She had the observant feat. Steve was playing a ranger, a human ranger, with sharpshooter, -5, +10 damage. Fighting style archery. Forest terrain, giants were his target. So and we actually fought a lot of ogres in that game too because of the giant deal. Damn. Fireball, counterspell. Damn, I don't have subtle spell. Counterspell to counter the counterspell. Foiled again. No, it's curses. Foiled again. What is this? Episode 1. Doppelgangers at some point. Oh, this was that campaign. These are not in order. Episode 2. That's so good. I love it. What is this? Campaign title, Endless Possibilities. Oh, so I forgot. We started that campaign with Pathfinder. And I started it calling it Endless Possibilities because I had no idea where I was going with that campaign to start out. Oh, empty sheets. They don't need to be in there. So let's get those out. Okay, perfect. More settlement sheets. NPC sheets. Hunter Dark was kind of like the person in charge of Pine Run, which was a very small town. He had a wolf that was with him. He was a human ranger. Harlemu was an elven wizard, level 16. Underdark was a 4th level ranger when the players started. Marcus Shieldheart was a 1st level ranger. Johannes Shieldheart was saved by the players. He's friends with Hunter Dark. Wow, there's a lot of NPCs I made for this. Jeez, oh, Pete. Seben. What was his name? Seben Tarmikos. 2nd level Elven Cleric. A merchant. Man, I did a lot of crap. Oh, okay. This is something I used to do for prep. Random NPC names by race and gender. So I've got human males, human females, elf females, halfling male, halfling female, goblins, which I didn't do by gender, orc males, orc females, dwarven males, dwarven females. So as I would come up with them, if I gave the name out, for example, I would circle the name or cross it out and put down next to it like what race, like this one's drow. Over here under human male, I circled Mace Manly, and he's a happy jester. Quernus Gage is a mage. A goblin named Lil Linky Peddledork. I'm not putting this back in there. That's staying out because I might use that somewhere. Bromo says, that sounds like a great horror story game. Do you use any special rules to simulate insanity or something like that? No, if it's 5e, I might use it, if you're talking about me. But yeah, I'll use like the stuff in just whatever system I'm playing. Sandstrom. Oh, so this was the area that had the issues with like slavers and stuff. And I have 4 adventure hooks for when the players are in town. That's cool. I didn't realize I had that in here either. Maybe I should just organize these really well into like pocket folders. But see, then I'm wasting time. I just need to write the stuff down. I need to put it in a document and organize the document by order. And that would be better than like, oh, I need to get some folders and put these in this way. Like, that's going to be a waste of time. Black Hand Mystery Campaign. So I've run 2 games that were this campaign. And neither of them lasted more than like 8 sessions. Oh, this one probably did. This was they were all level 5. Sorcerer, Cleric, Fighter, Wizard. That was a family game too. Oh, and here's the outline for that. So the yellow stuff they completed. They actually did not fail anything in this. While in the wilderness, players will find items that belong to missing people. So they didn't find that, so it never got highlighted. But it isn't necessarily a failure, because they still found out that the missing people were undead later on. Side questing Dragon Cult. I made a note that they were on a side quest. So at the time, 5e was brand new, so I made crib sheet. I always make crib sheets when I'm trying a new system and I'm running it, so that I don't have to answer a ton of questions for players and it throw me off, because I'm not going to remember sometimes. So this was for our cleric, and I listed out her spells. Rather than letting her pick necessarily, I just told her, here's your spells. I wrote down what they did, did the same thing on the next page, what they did. And that was that. And then after a couple sessions, I'm like, all right, you can pick what you want now. So here's what our wizard's crib sheet looked like. So again, this is just listing out spells and then more spells. So I guess I have that when I go to write the characters out in the lore. I know what spells they had. There's all this. Here was my DM's copy of notes where that campaign ended. Boom. And here was the player's copy. I drew stuff out and, has different things on each one, but for the most part, the stuff they discovered is on here. So they discovered a Mind Flayer cave, Orc cave, and yes, I know that they were too low powered for Mind Flayers, but, we made it happen. They found another Mind Flayer cave where Intellect Devourers were trying to get at them, and they fought off or I'm sorry, they found a dead Githyanki. Ankhegs and Sturges, Earth Elemental, Spiders, and a dead worm. Goblin Cave, Dead Wizard, and his Golem. They skipped the Mites, they skipped the Bugbears, they skipped the Kobolds, they skipped the Harpies. They found the Owlbear Cave. They found the Manicore's Nest. They found the Cult of the Dragon Camp, because this was heavily inspired by Tyranny of Dragons. Oh, dude, thanks, man. Roll Stats says, Happy New Year, Juice. Have a drink on me. Great stream, but I've got to run. Yeah, I'm ending here in a second, but thank you so much, dude. I really appreciate that. You rock. You are the man. And I will message you in a couple days about some OSR stuff and some ideas. We'll talk on Monday, too, about it. Episode 6, The Black Tunnels of Doom. I don't even know, but there you go. And apparently, here's a map I stole from Don John. This was the player's map, I think, because this one over here, oh, this is the Mind Flayers and the Intellect Devourers map. Because over here has my notes. Gosh, I've run so many dang games in 5 years. It's crazy. Bullywug encounter. Oh, so this was the stuff that took place in Bog Sylvania. So we had a Bullywug King, guards, frogs, giant frogs, slaves. I used to do a lot of stuff with slaves in my games, where just commoners would be enslaved. That's happened in a lot of my games. It's not usually by race unless they're monster races or all humans, right? But that's typically what I've done. What is this? This is Tyranny of Dragons. It's got Kyan Wrath. So this must have been for the other BlackRock stuff. Yeah, it is, because it's got my... Yep. So this does not go with this. This is a whole different campaign, I think. No? This is it. So this is episode 1 and 2, 3. Okay. And so that stuff over here must have been a later episode. It's just not in order. Weird. Okay. 3, 6. Where do we leave off? Where might the players go? So this is the start of me creating that sheet. And it was me taking what I used as prep normally and how I prep. I was like, I need to put this into a sheet, a spreadsheet, so I'm consistent. And that's originally how I came up with my sheet. If you guys are interested in downloading it, it's over on rpgjuice.com under the download section or resources or whatever. I got to clean up my website. But it's over there and all that good stuff. So if you guys are interested, go check that out. You can download it. Gilded Statue of the Sun Goddess. I don't even know what that is. Are these like magic items? Dungeon in a volcano. Are these just notes? Goblin Merchant Lilinky Peddledork. So these are terrible notes. Shorthanded notes. That's why they don't make any sense, because I'm terrible at taking notes during the game. Hey, Daniel, we're actually just wrapping up, buddy. I'm sorry. I hope you have a wonderful New Year. Yeah, that's crazy. We're going to be wrapping up here in a second. I'm going through stuff, and because I'm going to be world building, I'm just going to put some of this stuff down on paper for my world building is what I'm going to do. And as I put things down, I'm just going to delete it. Like, I'm not delete it. I'm going to throw stuff away. So I have the Orcs Arrow Peninsula was going to be, and it's still, I probably release it in sections. I don't know. But it's got an introduction because I was writing that out like it was going to be its own thing. Things of note using this book, and I've got stuff written there. A summary on a page of what the Orcs Arrow Peninsula is. And then I go in through certain things like City of Ancients, facts about the City of Ancients, population, ruler, blah, 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 blah. Some hooks, adventure hooks for that area. Then I go into the Eastern Dwarven Territory, which is that walled-in place I was talking about earlier. Do the same thing. I have a summary, facts about it, population, other stuff, important places, adventure hooks. Same thing for the Western Dwarven Territory, which those are more subterranean dwarves. That one's mostly a placeholder. I don't think I wrote the summary, but everything else is pretty much placeholder. Elda. Is it New Year's Day over there yet, or are you still living in the past? Dude, it's only 10 p.m., 10:05 p.m. We've got 2 hours till New Year's, and I'm going to go spend some time with Paula, hopefully watch a movie leading up to New Year's. That's my plan. That is my, and plus my voice is getting scratchy. Brower Hans wrote some stuff about that. It's good stuff. Windham. Sumre, whatever that is. I think that's a city. Tiambre Falls. Bay City. Pine Run. Pine Run Mines. What is this? What is this? Sandstrom. That's good stuff there. For sure. And then some monster stat blocks. More monster stat blocks. So yeah, that's it. This is what I'm going to be doing on Sunday. Got Descent into Avernus on Saturday. We're going to be streaming on Sunday. I've got a couple videos to edit. For example, we've got tomorrow is our look forward to 2021, which I kind of covered some of the topics tonight. So if you watched this whole stream, you might not want to watch that. I don't know. You might want to watch it. If you do, cool. If you do, comment. Tell me how repetitive I am. You know, all that good stuff. If on Saturday, I'm hoping tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to rewatch the Descent to Avernus game and make some notes. And after I make those notes, I will probably just try and prepare for Saturday's game. And then I'll probably work on editing some of those videos. I want to get a video up for Saturday morning. I want to get, obviously we have a stream on Sunday morning. It'll be similar to this, where I just hang out with you guys and we talk and we do some prep. But I want to get something, again, during the stream we'll write out some world building stuff. I'll share some things. And then I'd like to film and edit some videos on Sunday, so I have some videos flowing for next week. But next week's right back to our regular schedule. I think next week we've got Tuesday, we have no stream. We've been streaming our patron streams, but I'm just going to hang out with our patrons now. If you want to be a $10 patron, you can come hang out and just talk to us. We pull up a Zoom call. A few of us just chat. It's about an hour and a half or so. I'll probably go live with the Zoom call. Not live. I'll probably send out the Zoom call around like 7:45-ish, and we'll just hang out for a couple hours to like 9:30, and it'll be fun. You know, we just, if you guys have questions about a game, if you have questions about prep, you just want to bounce ideas, whatever, if you just want to talk about life, it's all good. $10 patrons and above have access to the chat, and we'll do that. There's other perks if you become a patron. Obviously, you can get first dibs to play in one-shots or campaigns. You get access to the tables we make during our mini painting streams. Paula paints minis on stream, and then I will make little like D20 tables, various things. You know, it's a lot of fun. So that's kind of some of the stuff that you can expect. So yeah, Tuesday we'll do a chat on Zoom. Will not be streamed. So hopefully I'll have a video up for you guys to watch on Tuesday. Wednesday we'll do our mini painting stream. Thursday, Pulp Cthulhu. Friday next week, I don't remember if that's our Pathfinder Fall of Plaguestone game or if it's the following week. But Saturday is Tyranny of Dragons next week. So it's a busy week next week. Got a lot of cool stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out with me. It's been a lot of fun. I always enjoy hanging out with you guys. And yeah, hope you guys have a wonderful new year. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you in 2021. Game on.